A little bit of mixed signals coming through as we're just reading some comments from Fed's Barkin to kick things off here at 8:30, talking about the underlying strength still in the economy, and that if the Fed continues along the path that it currently is, could stimulate demand once again. So market pointing to more downside to come today, coming off what happened yesterday. It was a tech-led sell-off, specifically on the first day of 2024. We are seeing more weakness, including Apple once again this morning back to the downside here. In pre-market trading, EV stocks on watch once again as well. Specifically, some of the Chinese names. There was a note on NIO this morning on a senior note redemption coming through at 0%. So NIO down a little bit more than the rest right now, but all of them under significant pressure yesterday. Talk about crypto as well. Big reversal on Bitcoin in the past 24 hours. So some of the strength we saw yesterday in crypto-related equities, giving that back today in a big way. It's Wednesday, January 3rd, 2023. Tradertv.live. No, it's not. It's 2024. Tradertv.live starts now. I mean, there was going to be one, obviously. It's the second day, but, you know, we'll get the hang of it here eventually. There's Fed's Barkin making some comments right now at 8:30. We're expecting some more economic data a little bit later in the morning as well. 10 o'clock specifically, ISM manufacturing PMI data coming through for December. We'll also get the manufacturing employment number along with that, so we'll keep that in mind. This afternoon, oh yeah, by the way, we'll get the latest minutes from the last Fed meeting as well. So, I mean, that's always a bit of a lagging indication as to how things are going. But if you remember, that was the meeting that Fed Chair Powell definitely made a bit of a pivot and indicated that there are definitely cuts to come this year. So we'll see if the rest of the Fed members were in line with that, or maybe a little bit of contrary thinking coming from Fed Chair Powell. Then later in the week, as we were saying yesterday afternoon, non-farm payrolls coming up on Friday. That's going to be the big economic data point of the week. Here's the overall market as well. The pullback continues on the daily chart. This is the Qs or the NASDAQ. So 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row here. Back to the downside we go. But a lot to consider here. I mean, I'm just hearing some more comments coming through here. Anyways, from Fed's Barkin talking this morning. So we're back into Fed speak once again.
Yeah, saying that the soft landing is increasingly more conceivable, but not inevitable. The market will digest that well, I believe, because that's kind of the holy grail that we've been trying to reach, that soft landing. I'm keeping my eye on yields, the 2-year, the 10-year, both up 0.85 for the 2-year, 0.75 for the 10-year as they bounce here as equities retrace, Brendo.
Yeah, I mean, some of these actually kind of positive or a little bit more dovish than Barkin has been in the past. So nothing significant yet. I mean, the market not really reacting to this. We're back to the upside for crude oil, but both the NASDAQ and the S&P, not so much. That's Bitcoin as well. Yeah, not so much. Big, ugly red candle to kick things off on a Wednesday here for Bitcoin. Good morning, guys. It's Wednesday.
Good morning. Yes, Wednesday. It is hump day as well in 2024. I actually feel like there's usually a couple mistakes like that. It's early in the year. You're gonna get that little hangover from the previous year. But Barkin was barking this morning. I'm surprised you didn't say that pun, so I'll throw it out there. But the story this morning is the crypto move that we just had. Like, yesterday was 2% for the NASDAQ and Apple got smashed, and there were a lot of red names yesterday and some double-digit red names. But to go all the way back, we just came from 42,000. I mean, like, literally to end the year, you're barcoding off that level. Everyone's celebrating 45,000. We had Kevin O'Leary on last week, and he was emphatic about the SPCE not being done with Coinbase, about the ETF not going through. So whether or not you think that this move is related to that or related to something along the lines of selling the news, either way, big reversals in Mara, Coinbase, every single one of those equity names, and Bitcoin going to be the story. There was strength in the market yesterday, lots of it. You just had to look in the right places. The banks were strong. I think you can look to them some big levels on BAC that I like. And then don't sleep on yesterday's trades. In Tesla and deliveries, Definitely Apple moving into the downside. You had Unity and Affirm getting absolutely smashed. Neither one of those looks all that healthy again today. So I feel like some of it's a little bit of the same as yesterday, but keep your ears to the ground. You got one Fed man speaking, and then we get the meeting minutes later on today. Sometimes that means you could have a quiet lunch, but after yesterday, I wouldn't be betting on it.
Yeah, economic numbers are just going to come and go as they may see, but I mean, this market is still down 0.5% right now and continuing to fall. Yesterday, we were trying to be net short, and we were pretty much short all day. And today, the sticky note has more short on it and no longs. So looking at Alibaba, looking at Apple, looking at Palantir, looking at some of the crypto names. And I was feeling, I mean, I was just saying this before I sat down here today. Every day I just log in and I check Coinbase and I check Hut 8 because it's like when I sold those, like I sold Coinbase 170 something and I was like, oh my God, it was up to 190 there. And I was like, that's a disaster. How far could this thing go? And that's when I asked Adara, do you know what the all-time high was? And, you know, it seemed like we were getting close to that. And of course, we're up at 420, 380 all-time high close. So nowhere near that. But look at this, you know, nice move down there for Coinbase. It's been crazy. Like, but even though this move has happened all the way down, we're just back to December 18th levels. So it's not the end of the world. And the same thing here for Hut 8, down through 11 bucks. That should be interesting. It bounced off that level. So we could look there if we get some strength back in some crypto coins. And then yesterday, man, you guys, if you're rocking with me yesterday, then I mean, we had Mara short yesterday, straight off the jump. I mean, this was an amazing play there yesterday. It just kept on fading all day. Mara was a great one. We had Boeing yesterday leveled up at 255. And thank you so much for joining the Market Recap Show. We probably had the best market recap show of all time yesterday. So it just keeps on getting bigger and better. So thanks again for everybody joining. We're now doing a sticky note recap on the show. And I just want to thank everybody for all the positive feedback that I got on Twitter and whatnot from some of those, from the notes from the show. So thank you so much. It definitely means a lot. You know, putting in more hours here for everybody out there. That's the reason. I mean, I could go home every day at 4 o'clock, but choose to stay, right? And we're giving you guys more and more content. And I just want to thank everybody for watching and thank you for the positive feedback. So that's what we're doing, man. Thank you so much. It's going to be another big day. I mean, yesterday I think I made over 150 or so fills. We'll look to make something similar to that today. A little more calm as we look for very, very specific names. Banks, we love the banks. This is why being diversified is just so good. I was talking about like why I own 30 names, and it's kind of like, obviously I don't own that many now, but you know, you get those ebbs and flows in the market with Moderna and Pfizer and then the bank names. But some of these other beat up names continue to get to the downside, like a DraftKings, Palantir today. SoFi gets downgraded, which is going to be a problem for that name. Oil names also bouncing a little bit today. So yeah, lots to look at, man. 42.7 now, Bitcoin rallying a bit here.
Just reading more of these comments coming through from Fed's Barkin. He has to cover his tracks, I guess, a little bit, saying potential for additional rate hikes remains on the table. So everything's fine, but just in case it isn't, they might still raise rates. Who knows? Let's talk about NIO here. There's a few things downside in a pretty big way. Once again, 2.4% here for NIO, trying to hold on to $8. I was reading through this note before we came on there at 8:30 and was trying to figure out exactly what this means. But so they've redeemed a senior note at 0%. That was due in 2026. So a little bit of negative catalyst here, it would seem anyways. This one, NIO, down more than the rest, XPeng, Li Auto as well. I mean, to start the week, all of these under a significant amount of pressure.
Yep.
We talked about Tesla's delivery numbers, Rivian as well, you're going to mention, with delivery numbers out yesterday, but worth watching again today.
It wasn't a good day yesterday for EVs. So specifically to Rivian, they delivered about 14,000 vehicles in Q4 of 2023. That's a reduction of about 10.2% to what they delivered in Q3 of 2023. So a big reduction there, despite the fact that they produced about 17,500 vehicles. So a lot went unsold, and we know that that was mentioned by Elon Musk on his earnings call last time around, saying that high interest rates have really hurt demand for EVs. So we'll have to keep an eye and see whether or not the changing interest rate climate will actually help buoy some of these stocks.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, 2, 3, is it 4? 3 days in a row here for NIO anyways. All these Chinese names under pressure again.
Yeah, you mentioned, we'll get to NIO in a second, but we'll start with Rivian because you mentioned that, Sharif, and it was double digits to the downside on delivery miss. But remember, those numbers came out in the pre-market when this was $23. So at the open, the actual open range high was about 21.80, but that was the first available chance to get shorts, and it was sort of it triple tapped it, so you could have taken it and did take it 3 times there. It was able to break 21 even, then made a bit of an SSR bounce back into VWAP. I feel like we're going to be hearing about short sell restrictions a lot. We heard about them yesterday. A lot of names got that double digits. You got a few more that'll be continuation and maybe a risk of that again today. So that bounce did happen, did not short it after that. But 21, if it gets back into 21.50, previous close, still looking for some fade levels. Above that 21.75, where it sold at opening range, then it's in threat of a squeeze to 22.5. So Rivian's back on the radar. It was early. A lot of times we'll say, like, if you look at that first half an hour or 15 minutes to half an hour when the market opens, the way I like to look at it is the stock that continuously works at certain prices. That's generally the one that you want to still be in and still holding on to later on in the day. The one that's continuously not working at that time is what you want to get away from. It's an easy thing to say, but it definitely matters. NIO was asked about like swing trading this stock at the end of last year a couple of times. And most of my comment was, well, it just couldn't seem to break 950 late. Like, it got above the 200 period moving average and couldn't break out from 950. Like, sometimes joining strength is better than hoping for strength, and it failed the 200 period. I'd like to think if you get down here, it's at 820 right now. You get down here at or beneath $8, you got the 50 period sitting at about 780 and change on the daily chart. And then you have the $8 level where that run into 950 got its bounce. So I think you're getting to some levels where NIO actually could be making a bit of a bounce. It might have to break $8 by a few pennies to look for that long, but it is on the radar. It's close enough to a support level that I think at 930 you could go a little bit of like a dip and rip in here. Just understand the $8 level, easily when NIO makes a bounce, if that can break 8, bounce at like 780, you're just looking for a bid. I'm usually looking for strength, a bit of a higher low to form, and then a recovery play on NIO. Not a great start for a lot of things to begin the year, but remember, NIO was fading off of a level before we got here.
All right, Sticky Note is now out. Thank you so much for everybody to go check that out. I got to actually put that up there on the big desk. What's the matter, Sharif? Sharif, what happened? Nothing. Okay. The guy's acting like a kid in the candy store over there. Okay, he's going to show me after. Okay. All right. Who knows? Who knows? The most emotion I've seen from this guy, and I can't find out what it is.
To be like, I would honestly think that somehow the Dallas Cowboys just won the Super Bowl the way the guy just reacted. And like he's dancing over there. But okay, fine. It's fine. Whatever.
All right. So I could just see here, I have a little bit more of a negative view on some of these names. Like, I think the move just started with a lot of these names. I'm going to put a little bit of a stink bid down here on Rivian, like 17. I think 17 is good, but I mean, I'm still a little bit worried about losing this 15 at some point. But, you know, like if we're going to be in these names for longer term, then, I mean, what does it really matter if you get long 17 or 13? Well, it's going to matter, but you know, that's a little bit of a different story if he gets all the way down into there. But anyways, I feel like a lot of this disaster has just started. Like, it's already down 2% today, and the market's only down 0.4. Like, what if we get another -1, 1.5% day? Rivian probably falls another 5 or 6%. So I feel like you want to watch out for 20 as a first defense, that's for sure. But we'll wait to see if that actually does happen. Tesla yesterday, again, like, barring any kind of catalyst, you're still at that same kind of a level as you are right here, 244. So, you know, yesterday we had that long. It was the number 2 stock here on the floor. And, you know, it's just one of those moves that made its way back up to 251. I think we could just do that again today. I think Tesla will probably bounce around. If you get real bad there, then obviously you're going to watch out for this 244 break. That could happen immediately, and when it does, then you sort of want to zoom out a little bit more, but there's not too much here for the last couple weeks. So you're going to have to, let's go, extend it out, and then there you go. What I was looking at was down here, possible bouncing spots in and around 240, and there's that 244. This is what we're looking for, right back in early December. Some nice little levels there for Tesla. So, you know, we're still fine with this one. You know, you're going to get worried about Tesla once you break back below 230. So for right now, I kind of like these levels that we're talking about here. 238, possible bottom. So let's wait to see, man. Again, more redness coming through on these EV spaces. And I think is it lead? Is Fisker the worst? I'm just wondering, is Rivian the worst? If Rivian's the worst, yeah, there's Fisker is 3, so it is Fisker, unless it's going to be Lucid. I just worry because I think there's a lot of people that are interested in Rivian more than these other names. So that's what gives me a little bit of worry that it could fall even a bit further with Lucid only down 0.72. So yeah,
Lucid also never bounced, which is a huge difference.
That's what I mean. Like Rivian's the one that has a lot of traders in it. So we'll wait to see if that can go. NIO at $8 is great as well. I'm going to choose Alibaba, but we have a lot to talk about. I don't know if we have any guests coming through today. It's 8:45 back to the desk, and let's find out what Sharif is up to.
All right, let's talk about this real quick. VinFast.
Yep.
Remember VinFast? VFS with a headline. Looks like they're finally narrowing down some production for India. So they've come up with an actual location to get this going in India. This one got absolutely crushed. Speaking of EVs, yesterday we went through 750 on a huge volume spike to the downside there late in the day and closed basically at the lows. There's not a lot of volume behind this move this morning, but hey, it's positive. Market's downside.
Yeah, they're looking at expanding their battery production facility in the southern state of Tamil Nadu. Reports there were VinFast executives in that area scouting out new spots. Specifically, they're just going to be making batteries. But it's you know, this is one of the many companies, Brendo, that we hear expanding into India, looking to diversify its production capacity.
Yeah, if Tesla's going to be there, they might as well join the party and jump on that bandwagon as well. Applied Materials just popped up in front of me on a volume scanner. I don't really see why, but Wells Fargo raising the price target on AMAT today. I mean, all of the semiconductors downside in a big way yesterday to kick off the new year, guys. But worth having a look maybe at the AMD, NVIDIAs, and AMATs of the world again.
Well, if AMAT was on a pre-market volume scanner, my guess is it's because it usually does 0 shares in the pre-market, and then it just had like a print or two this morning. But like everything got smoked yesterday in the chip sector. The good news the good news is if you like deals on stocks, then you're probably going to be afforded some, at least coming back in. Speaking of AMAT, I mean, I don't know. I'd get more excited if we were trading off the 150 level because you got the 50 period down there at 149 change. I think that could be a nice little jump off. I look back to, and there's several stocks where you're going to hear me say this, when looking back at levels when I got in this morning on the charts, middle December, about December 11th to December 15th, there were some big moves to the upside where you're coming back and those breakout prices where you broke consolidation levels are coming into play. And they can be big levels on the way back in. So for AMAT, that's down like 149. I don't think this is a stock. Okay, maybe it gets down there today. That's certainly possible. And I'm talking about like, look at this jump here. When you have a move like that, I'm concerned with where does it support itself after a move? Look at where we closed yesterday. I didn't know Brendan was going to talk about AMAT, but where did we close yesterday? On the support of that big move, and the gap gets you down about to that 149 area. So you got the 50 period, you've got that for AMAT. I'd be more interested in AMD and Intel today. AMD, tweet about this one because it got back down into another key support level. This is 135.40, pre-market low right here. I thought I drew a line there. I guess it disappeared. I just want to leave that in there for myself. So I had that support down just above 135, and then I like to look at where does it close, and it also had a close here at 134. That was the breakout price on the December 12th. So You're here 11th, 12th, 13th. That'd mean a lot because that was some key levels that we're falling back into. AMD, still a very good upward trend. It's also going right back into like a previous high as well. If it can't hold on to 134, like it's got room to the 50 period of the downside. But if you're going to get a bounce, the logical place could be off this 130, 134, 135 for advanced micro devices. And if Intel pops to 50, you know I'm shorting that.
All right, so yeah, I'm going to be short Intel way earlier than that. I'm going to be short Intel at $48 if we can get there. This is a name that's on the sticky note here today. I want to, again, thank everybody for continuing to support it as we go. But here it is, Intel 48 short sale. Yesterday, we were all about the shorts in everything. We talked about Intel, we talked about NVIDIA, all of that yesterday. The short continues, man, off of 50, off of 150, off of 500. We actually talked about it on the recap show. Make sure you join every single day for that. 168 for SMH. I mean, that's where we closed. You know, I've been saying this the whole time, that the semis are basically the new transports, and that as these go, so will the rest of the market. So right now, you know, here's that bottom that we made. It basically bottomed out in October, that bottom of November 1st, October 31st. That was the bottom, and then the rally in the whole market started off of that bottom. And obviously it has to do with NVIDIA and AMD and all that. The AMD quarter was great. Intel had some great news. But what I've written down here on the sticky note was just basically sans any catalysts right now in this space. You click on this here, you get some readings on the side here. Chip weakness continues. There's no catalyst. So if there's no catalyst, then we're going to remain short. So go over there, go find the sticky note. If you're on X, it's there. If you're on Instagram, it's there as well. At TraderTV Sean, you can go find that every single spot. With Bitcoin right now making a little bit of a move lower here in BTC, now down to 40. It just bounced off 42.4. It started to go a little bit right there. Let's go over to a 2-minute candle here. Whoopsies. It started to get a lot lower there. We just basically screamed down to 41. This is on CoinMarketCap. Screamed down there to 41, bounced pretty good off of that. Now you're at 42.5 and trying to figure itself out right here. So this is BTC, and it's just looking not the healthiest. But again, a 1 hour, look, this is like the market, right? You've seen the market drop down a little bit here. We've already sort of identified, you know, the fact that the NASDAQ and Bitcoin are very, very correlated. So there's the move down in NASDAQ. Here's the move down in Bitcoin. So again, I feel like that 41, you're going to have to watch out for that. You know, easily could drop down another $1,200 and hit into this area. So let's watch out for Bitcoin making that move. Maybe I want to zoom this out just a little bit more here just to see. Yeah, I mean, again, you're still right here. You know, so it's like when we panic, it might not be time to hit the panic button just yet. You're kind of in the middle of where we were this last week. So it just needs to hold. And if it can hold this 40,000, then I do think we continue to go to the upside. But again, is it a sell the news event on the ETF? You know, we've rallied upside. We already know where this name's been going, and it's looked great. But some of these other coins are really starting to pull back here a little bit. And if you didn't take something out, I don't blame you. I didn't cash anything out. But look what's happening right now. Solana had a huge run, man. Now down 14%. Ripple down 11. Cardano down 11. Avalanche 12. Polkadot. We had some people talking about. We had Kevin O'Leary even mentioned Polygon right there, down 13 and a bit percent. Only 86. Some of these things are really still super cheap. Some of these coins, but you know what's the case for them? So that's what we're looking for right now is another catalyst on some of these coins other than the ETF, because you know that's probably going to get approved. I don't know. I think Kevin said that he didn't think it was going to get approved. I think that they'll probably get approved at some point. So we'll have to watch out for stocks like Coinbase. You know, if we bounce off 40,000, there's going to be another huge run in Coinbase. So we'll have to watch out for this. Possibly a 150 break. That's the 200 period moving average. If we really get going, I like Coinbase there. And I know there's a lot of bag holders in Martha, M-A-R-A. There it is, Mara, not Martha. Right there. As this name has really gotten clocked, man. From 30 down to 20. You know, 50% move downside here, almost, not 50, almost down into $20, breaking lower. That's why I was thinking about 50%. This $15 bottom for Mara, it's pretty clean, man. So I'd hate to say it, but if Bitcoin breaks that 40,000, then we're going to be in trouble with Mara, man. So yeah, we talked about that Frank Jones Kimbo slice. I actually talked about Kimbo slice yesterday on, again, the market recap show. How fun that was there yesterday. All right, let's go back over to the desk. I'm no bag in Mara. Good, man. Good, Pauly D. Look, when you got to 150 on AMD, 500 on it, why do you think I sold NVIDIA? I mean, who else is out here telling you they sold NVIDIA? Like, I'm an idiot because I was up at 494 where we sold it. You know, it's easy for people to come out now and say they sold it, but sometimes you got to sell in the face of what you think is good. And I'm not far away from buying some of these things back, man. You know, it's just trying to see if there's a dip. We sort of called the dip here in January. It's only been one day. I don't want to light the market on fire here. Let's just be patient. Patient, very, very key. 10x apparently just halted. So there's a few stocks moving around, and it will all pop back up. Yeah, I think so. I think we'll be fine, but for right now, let's go over to the desk and get this show started.
Yeah, no, he does whatever I want. All right, let's talk about Bitcoin here just to wrap things up. This is worth a note, but this was yesterday. There's more downside for a couple of these. This is Mara right now getting crushed down to 2080. If you missed it yesterday, Michael Saylor dumping 216 million worth of MSTR as well. So a lot of selling across the board in this space continuing this morning, as we just saw. Let's get some upgrades and downgrades, analyst moves for this morning, and Dara has that over at the screen.
Citi here getting upgraded from Wolf Research, GSK with an upgrade from Jefferies Financial, Amazon getting an assumed coverage from D.A. Davidson with a buy rating and a price target of 195 for Amazon, and Discover getting an upgrade from Piper Sandler. For downgrades, another day, another downgrade for Apple here from D.A. Davidson with neutral and a price target of 166. AstraZeneca getting downgraded by Jefferies Financial here, trading a little bit lower today. Chesapeake Energy getting a downgrade from Mizuho, and last but not least, CME Group getting a downgrade here from Goldman Sachs.
Thank you very much, Sarah Dara. Shout out to Pauly. It's Dee in the chat was talking about selling Mara. It was the other direction. He didn't sell at the top, but sometimes that's going to happen. Like, you cut loose something for a bag at the low and it ends up rallying. You have to make the decision ultimately. Do you want to own it or not? So, like, deciding to cut bait and put whatever money into something else, I think it's going to happen to everybody, whether you're trading or investing. One thing I would say is you've got to determine whether you're trading or investing, right? Like, we're going to talk about I want to talk about Amazon right here, and you can, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with Amazon. I plan on holding Amazon for quite some time, but if you look at the pullback that we got right now that we're going into, if we can come to the chart here for a sec, Fabian. If you look at the pullback that I think we're going into, once you fail previous high 150, on that upgrade, okay, interesting timing. Why wouldn't you retest the 50 period at 144? That's a key level coming in. You start looking back for where these key levels forming if we're going to trend down, and underneath that 150. Thank you very much, Randy. Appreciate you, brother. They're still bears, unfortunately. So you hear about BYD? Yep. Numero uno honcho fourth quarter.
They're doing great things. They're going to give Tesla a run for their money. It's lots of cars coming out, and they're good-looking cars. They're well-built. I like BYD. I really do.
You see, the other thing too is we're jumping away from Amazon, but I know you actually had a look at the charts yesterday of some of the energy names. XOM, you got to be happy there.
I like oil and XOM right now. I really do. There's a lot of play there. So I've been watching oil for about a month, and there's interesting things happening. So keep an eye on XOM and Chevron.
We're leaving the bears.
I'm leaving the bears for now.
We're leaving the bears. You heard it, and just going back into Amazon, it'd be like, well, if we fail this 150, I think you could see the 50-period moving average on a lot of charts. And that just, like, to me, that's like a healthy pullback if you pull back into those levels. So as I put the old coffee away, if we can't get back above 150, that is your key level for this name. Upgrades and downgrades just provide a catalyst for the stock to do a little bit of extra volume, so it becomes on your radar. If it gets above that price, I think you could have a little bit of a relief rally. That's got room to 152, looking at where we closed to end the year at that 152 mark. I think closing prices like that are pretty important. So the key number there is under 150. I think it's weak. Over, it's got room to about 152, specifically for Amazon.
All right. It's now fruit salad time. So here we go, man. We got fruit salad here, and we're going to look at Amazon. We actually made a good trade on Amazon yesterday as well. So again, guys, enjoy your fruit salad. Today's fruit salad brought to you by Melon again, and the best kinds, man. I mean, cantaloupe. I think there's a pineapple. Oh, there's a couple pineapples in there. So you got some nice honeydew melon. I don't know if that's the official way to call those things. Oh, you know what name that I want to look at there? If it keeps on going down, we're going to just have to buy more Costco because, I mean, Costco is going to be the name that's going to work for the long term, and you're pulling off a 680. You don't actually get too many opportunities to buy Costco on pullbacks, you know, so it's, you know, a little bit there. This pullback was 570 down to 530. Then you get 575 down to 540. And then straight to the upside. Now you're getting 680 down to 650 again here for Costco. So we talked about some strength in the market. Upgrades and downgrades. I'm myself right now officially upgrading Costco. So I feel like that's going to be a buy spot right there for Costco. So we'll wait to see what happens here for COST. But right now, that's what we're dealing with. I like that name down here a little bit lower. I don't think it's going to be anything for a day trade, but trust me, we'll have a lot of trades throughout the day today. So Costco on the watch for long-term portfolio.
Move by one on the weekend. I didn't even go in.
Okay.
I just drove by it.
I'm a hot mess.
Completely agree with Sean.
Yeah.
Definitely needs an upgrade after, like, just out the parking lot.
Yeah, it's a hot mess.
It's just insane. Thank you, Randy. Coffee delivery. Let's get into everything else we need to know here this morning, heading towards the open. Shreef's going to take a look at the futures.
47.87, guys. That's where we closed out yesterday on the ES. So let's talk about the support and resistance levels. Same support level that we talked about yesterday. That's at 40.50 area. That takes us back to the level of December 20th. To the high side, let's say 4,800 will be resistance because the overnight high is 47.90. So we couldn't even make our way back into 4,800. So 50-point range, guys.
All right, let's get into everything else we need to know individually this morning. If you haven't done so, grab that. Absolutely free. Best part. Watchlist.tradertv.live will get you there. You can scan that QR code. All you need is an email address. And let's talk about Apple. I mean, we can talk about all of big tech here because it was all about tech downside in a big way to kick off 2024. I mean, this is just an interesting note on Apple. If you remember going back, I think it was about a month ago or so, we learned that, maybe it was more than that actually, we learned that the Vision Pro was going to be in stores in February. Mm-hmm. That was the initial target date they had, was February. So now, even the last week of January, we could see the first of the units arriving in the Apple Store, which Shreef's going to line up to buy.
Yeah, oh, well, you know that. I'm all about my Apple products. But no, seriously, guys, I was reading the note yesterday by Barclays analyst Tim Long, and here's why he downgraded the stock. Here's what he said. He said he's looking at weak iPhone 16 sales. He's predicating that on what he says are below expectation iPhone 15 sales. That's a bit down the road, so I wasn't really sure how I felt about that. But he's going on to say we are still picking up weakness on iPhone volumes and mix, as well as a lack of bounce back in Macs, iPads, and wearables. With respect to their services business, where they've been growing hand over fist, Brendo, he says Apple's lucrative service business will also see decelerated growth, in part due to regulatory scrutiny. We know about how the regulators coming after them for their Apple Store 30%, as well as the Google deal for default search.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes from here. We saw Apple again 2 days in a row downside of that upgrades and downgrades board. This one was on the right side of things. I mean, it's looking, Amazon, this is, looking very similar to the way things started off yesterday, down a little bit. We made that run up to get positive on the session, only to end the day back downside. So we'll see how big tech plays out today, guys.
Yeah, and look, I guess we just talked a little bit about Amazon, but going back into Apple, on a weekly chart, now obviously a weekly chart is going to paint a pretty picture of just about everything. Apple, that 200 rejection, you can see, like, right under, this is 190, and opening underneath the 190, you've got the 50 period, which is way down here at 175. You have what could be a bit of a trend. If it were to follow that trend, you'd have some lower lows on the weekly off that double top, which could come into threat. So going from that into the daily to what we're dealing with, you broke support yesterday, 187.5. That was that bottom, and you guessed it, like middle of December. So at 187.5, I think that's a bit of a line in the sand. I don't think it's strong unless it regains that number. You got the 50 period at 187 on the daily as well. If it gets to the 200 period moving average, is that even that big of a deal? When you look at that weekly chart, when you look at that daily chart, you look at where this stock could end up on a healthy pullback, and it's still got room to fall. So anyway, I was showing those charts because, I mean, the 15 minutes going to have these wicks on it, but 187.5 was the middle of the day top. That was the previous support level, which is turned into resistance. I think the two spots I look are, if we get to that price, obviously you got to go a couple to $3 to the upside. I think it's not impossible, a little bit unlikely, but you've got the previous close. You've got 185.6. That is $1 higher. So we like those close prices, and I like the 187.5. Those are two areas I'd be looking to short Apple, as it looks like it's a stair step to the downside. I'm not saying it gets to 180, but that would be a pretty reasonable, healthy pullback for Apple to get to the 180 level on that daily chart.
All right. Yeah, it's pretty simple stuff, man. All you have to do, everything we talk about, you just got to go over to if you want to see what I'm going to say, you just got to go over to the sticky note, man. 186 short. We actually traded this yesterday, and it was the #1 stock yesterday for the floor. Apple, 186 short sell. Huge. I don't think anything's changed. You know, we traded it yesterday. It was a monster trade, like I just said. So I'm just going to do the same thing. We shorted that 188 yesterday. Let's short any pops right now. First pop, 186. Like, you're not, why would you get to 188? Like, if the market turns around like crazy? So that's something that, you know, I'll be really, really nervous. So if it gets anywhere near there, we're going to be punching out like around 187, 187.50, stuff like that. So if it gets up here, then that would be like a monster short, but I just don't. The amount of shares that I'll have is not going to be conducive to holding a large hit. So, you know, yesterday, like I said, we got two fills, I believe, up here. It's too bad that the marks aren't there, but you can go over. I can find it on Twitter, but whatever. You guys know what real trading looks like. So we'll be on Apple here today one more time. And I'm actually waiting right now at 185 and change. So let's see if we get a little bit of a bump up. Like, I don't even think I'm going to get a 186 fill. But if we do, it might be right off the open. So let's just try to be as specific with our ins and outs here as we can be. The name that's going, we're going to have Disney talk about Disney in a minute, but this could be a name. Remember we identified this yesterday, that Disney was relatively strong and it didn't really make too much sense. Again, there wasn't too many catalysts, but we're going to get to that in a minute. Just looking at Disney here in and around $90 could be something. That was a nice move yesterday off 89 all the way to 91.40. So watch out for Disney pulling back into this area. If we do get any dip buy opportunities, I really, really like Disney. I've already talked about crypto, but let's go over to the desk and find out what the guys are saying.
All right, we were just talking about crypto here. This is quite the headline. Someone who is typically not fond of crypto. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin trade mixed amid high praise for King Crypto, whoever that is, from Jim Cramer. So as we've seen, Fabian just said, oh God. As we've seen, that big ugly red candle on BTC this morning on the daily chart. I mean, I just went through a few of these. That's Riot, obviously, downside big time. Mara looks very similar. We saw Coin looking very similar 2 days in a row, just straight downside. So weakness continuing, to say the least, for crypto stocks.
Yeah, the sell-off wasn't really clear, Brendo, why it actually happened. Some people speculating it could be hedging in the case of the SEC not approving the spot ETF. With respect to that spot ETF, it's widely anticipated that a decision will be given on January 10th, whether it's approved or not. There is also some concern amongst some commentators that even if it is approved, it will be like a sell the news type event, and we'll have a correction on BTC and some of the related equities, Brendo. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, there's a few people selling already, including Michael Saylor, as we were saying, MSTR downside as well. Michael Saylor, if you missed it, selling 315,000 shares, 216 million worth of the company's stock. That was yesterday, ahead of this move to the downside.
It's one of the oldest sayings in trading and investing is to buy the rumor, sell the news. But it's not necessarily a complete lock. And I'm not saying the ETF doesn't happen, but there are those. And we had a guest on, obviously, talk about this last week in in our good friend Mr. Wonderful, saying that he didn't think it was a done deal and it was very likely that the ETF wasn't going to happen. Now, sometimes you get a move like this in Bitcoin, they're liquidity events. When large amounts get moved, you can get moves like this. I was actually talking to Adair this morning. She's asking, is this normal for Bitcoin? I said, well, that's an extreme move if you look at the context of the last few weeks and months. But if you go way back further and the history, then it's nothing. There's moves like that all the time. Like, it's actually pretty normal. Now, getting to some of these other names, Mara is going to be, it was down 10%, the last 2 days in a row. So it's going to be, regardless of whether it's 10% now or not, it's going to be short sell restricted, meaning if you try to hit the bid, you need an uptick if you're trying to short and you want to remove liquidity from the bid. That and the fact that it's at the $20 level gives it a chance for an SSR bounce. I think if it does an SSR bounce, there's your 20. It already bounced once off 20. The question is, where can it go if it bounces? I look at this close from the 20th at 22 into the 23 level, which is essentially, that's where it closed at 22.93. Like, that's the fade zone to me. You had a double bottom off of that price. So if it were to get back in there, I think that's where you look for a little bit of a curl. As long as it's holding on to the 20 level, shorting it at the bottom it's a tricky trade to try to short at a low like that off the 20 level when 10% higher is an X resistance. So I think that's a bit of a tricky trade if you want to short the bottom. I think it needs a little bit of a bounce play. SSR bounce plays for me are scalp trades. Like, if it goes 20, goes to 19.90 and then immediately back up, like I'd go long risking 10 cents and I'm out that sucker before it gets to 21. Like, that's not holding it for 15% for that kind of a trade, because it's only giving you the opportunity for an SSR bounce when it's a dumpster fire. That's the whole point. So for me, those are always scalp trades. And when looking at Coinbase, I really just marked off the 143. 155 is where we closed, and then you had going back again to the 19th, 20th area, that 155 level comes into play. 143, that's simply this local bottom here that we got. I think it was on December 18th. So again, mid-December, you had this 143 open, and it's bounced off that. If coin can hold on to that, you might have at least some kind of a consolidation day. Underneath 143, it's got another sort of gap to fill. You got the even dollar, then you got 135. So that's another key line in the sand here for Coinbase on the way to the downside. So you're going to have a lot. We can talk about other names as well, but if there is an SSR bounce on Mara, I'm going to be patiently waiting for a fade up around that 22 to 23 area.
Look, I just got, including from Jeff Mendel, I just got like 3 or 4 messages from some random people here. This is my Instagram account. I don't understand why there's all these issues. It's Instagram/tradertv.Sean. Okay, only 7,000 followers. You could see all these posts that we've had up here. This is a nice one from Gillette. Right here. Shout out to Gillette, by the way, for sort of sponsoring this little thing there. They sent me a nice razor. Isn't that really important? Maybe I should use it. Should I give it to, maybe Sharif got a hold of this right now, and then the beard trimmer.
No, you don't want him to have it.
Yeah. Anyways, here's me and Brendan. The podcast continues to be pretty hot. This Christmas house was absolutely insane. I think the guy said there was 83 blow up things, and the tallest one is this guy here, 24 feet. Kind of tied up with the Grinch. He's kind of leaning down a little bit, and then over here was a crazy penguin. But just look at all of this stuff coming through, and then it was taken down the very next day. So wow, just insane, I'm saying. Right there. Anyways, just go over, man. Find the right. Oh, here's my kid. This is a throwback. This is super old. I had hair and everything. Who is that, actually? I don't even know who that is. Who is that?
What?
I don't know who that is. Anyway, shout out to my wife for a throwback thing 4 years ago, man. 4 years ago. Anyways, my kids are all about the show. But there we go. All my kids have been on the show. So anyways, go over to Instagram. Check it out here. This is when we went to the game. I'm all about, obviously, dad life is the #1 life. But there we go, man. Head over to Instagram. It's at TraderTVSean for the real stuff. But, okay, look. I said Coinbase, I think, could be a trade through 150, but the whole point is that Bitcoin has to hold this 42,000. And if it does it, then great. You're going to have to watch out for Bitcoin. But look at the barcode right now. You're kind of not doing anything in Coinbase, and it actually looks like it's trying to ramp down, right? I said that just like Rivian. I think the move has just started in a lot of these names. Look at the NASDAQ continuing to go to the downside. I think more selling pressure comes in today. And if crypto's going to bounce around with the NASDAQ, then you do have some pain trade coming through. This bottom right there of 130, that's where I would step in and buy Coinbase, and I actually think we have a good chance of getting to that level. As far as Mara is concerned, we've been really, really spinning it. Mara has been, I don't even normally trade Mara. We were long, like 27, 28s into 30s. We've been short the last couple days. And look, why go against momentum at any point? So for me on Mara, if we go to a little bit of a higher time frame, I'm just showing you guys, like yesterday clocked, right? We were short up here, 27 all the way back into 23. What a great move that was for Mara. But if you're going to go for a little bit of a bigger time frame, I just think you're going to wait up here for 24 bucks. Like you're not going to get that level. So if you're going to like re-engage in a short, maybe on a longer term time frame, I think you wait for a pop up. But for right now, like 22, that's pretty good. Like it just goes back a couple days, back into the beginning times, or actually it just goes back to a couple last week to 22 bucks. So I think a little bit of a pop up to that. I wouldn't be surprised. And I just think you use yesterday's close as you're out, $23. It's a pretty simple trade. It's down 10%, which is huge. Yesterday's close is 23. I think you go short against that, but I'm not sure you're going to get a chance. So if you're not going to get a chance, then you just have to break 20 short. And I believe it's shortable, so you're just going to have to get the SSR, right? So when it breaks through 20, you're not going to get 20. You're going to have to wait for a bounce, and that's what happened yesterday. We waited for a bounce and got short something on a bounce back up. Unfortunately, the ticks aren't here. I can show you on if you go on to my Twitter, you'll be able to see all my Mara trades from yesterday. It was a money-making opportunity. I think you take it through 20 break. There's really nothing else. 2150 is the top. Just play momentum, man. A break of 20 on Mara, and we all go short. All right, that's what I'm doing. You guys can, do whatever you want, but I'm going to be going short on a break of Mara through 20 bucks.
SoFi downside here as well. By the way, I think that was Liz, Sean, possibly. Our intern, Liz, maybe. Anyways, shout out to Liz. It was a long time ago. Let's go on to SoFi here. A couple days in a row, downside in a pretty big way. Sharif and I were just discussing, it was 4 years ago. Wow. Keefe, Bruyette, and Woods. Or as you said, KBW,
it's an easier
with
one.
A downgrade on SoFi today to underperform.
Yes, sir, and a price target reduction, Brendo, from 7.5 to 6.5. Here's what the brokerage is saying. It's saying it's updated its 2024 EBITDA forecast for SoFi down to about 493 million. That's about 10 to 17% what the street was expecting, and they're blaming that on slow origination growth and technology revenue. You'll recall that SoFi was up a cool 36.5% in December, largely on the back of expected rate cuts this year. The brokerage goes on to say, Brendo, SoFi shares remain polarizing, but noise aside, anytime a growth stock is trading at a premium valuation of 10 to 15% downside potential to consensus EBITDA, we believe a more cautious stance is appropriate.
Yeah, analysts pretty aggressive on the sell side across the board to start off the new year. Here's another day ugly for SoFi.
Yeah, and unfortunately for SoFi, it ran, like it's already happened, it ran into that resistance zone that we were discussing last year. I know it was just last week that we talked about this, but broke the channel, yada, 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 broke 8, got above 920, and it came right into that failure spot above 10. So it rejected 10 big time last time it was above this channel, and when it got to 10, you rejecting it again. That lower high 920, that provided support the first time. We're underneath that support the second time. You know how I feel about support and resistance. So if 920 was a previous support level just now, I'm looking for it as resistance today. Do I think it goes to $8 today? Not really. I think that would be a little bit much, seeing as we close at $9.65. I think that's way too far. The 850 level will stand out. The 830 level, those are two levels that I think you could find a little bit of a bid. But previous support to resistance for me on SoFi, there's a 920 there for you. 950, I don't know, I'm missing some data on this chart, but 950 would be the next level up. If it breaks the quarters, I'd look for like a 950 sell zone. So, I mean, SoFi under some pressure. I still like the company in the long term, but you got to sort of play where the winds are taking you. And right now, you're getting that rejection back through 10, and it has yet to catch a bit of a bid.
John, yeah, I don't mind that short. I mean, I'm going to try to get short some MARA as well. But I mean, Bitcoin's now 42.4. I'm going to try 21, but I'm going to watch out for 21.50. If 21.50 breaks, then I'm not going to be in the MARA short. So I have an offer there. I also have a short opportunity. I have a trade here to get short. We only have 10 minutes until the market opens. So, all right. So I bought SoFi $7. I bought SoFi $6. Did not sell it at $10. So that's a huge fail. That's for sure. Now that you're back down in here into $9. So again, it's just like what goes up must come down. And that's going to be the case for all of these names. And it's just going to continue to get hit, right? I mean, Palantir's on the, you know what? Forget about SoFi. I'm not going to trade it. I'm just going to go over to Palantir. All right, so Palantir, again, this name looking to break lower. This is the name I actually want to buy. I don't want to buy more SoFi. What am I, crazy? I want to buy more Palantir, right? And so watch out for 1650 here. I have it listed as a short today because it is a short. I'm just talking about buying this name back down in here into $15, $14. You could get that opportunity today. I feel like this could really, really flush back in. They've given it up. It's not even that dramatic of a move yesterday. You know, we could be pulling back in a lot more than this. Palantir has a lot of catalysts that I really, really like moving forward. You have to go find those out on the podcast. But you know what? This name, not trying to grab longs, trying to short pops. So if we get anything up in here into 1650, which again, as it was written onto here, 1650, like yesterday we were 4 for 4 on this thing and we didn't take 2 of the trades. Boeing and something else. And we actually have a new recap show where we're going to review missed trades and sticky note stuff, bring back sort of the trade of the day kind of stuff like that. And that's why I'm saying for me, the most fun that I have is the recap show because I can be who I want to be and don't have to be focused too much on trading. So if you're looking for a lot of fun and some great levels and some great talk and some great guests, join the recap show. But I still like Palantir up here at 1650. We'll try to play that fade. So right now I am waiting to short in front of 1650, and I'm going to give it to 1675. So I'm going to give it up to 1675, this little barcode area that was happening before the drop back in. Could be an epic loss today if this market rebounds, but let's be very, very careful with Palantir right there.
We're just talking about exclamation marks. Walt Disney downside here this morning along with the overall market. I mean, there was a pretty steep sell-off heading into the close yesterday across the board. Decent volume at the close, to be honest, with DIS. But yeah, Blackwell Capital next in line to nominate 3 individuals for a board seat at the 2024 annual meeting for Disney. We all know about the Trian efforts in that same direction as well, but not a lot of a reaction here for Disney. I mean, to be honest, it hasn't really done much in a few weeks.
This is a kind of a bewildering headline here, Brendo, because Blackwell's Capital has about $5 million worth of shares of Disney. Compare that to the $3 billion owned by Trian Capital Management, or Fund Management, excuse me. What Blackwell's is trying to do here is they're trying to nominate 3 different board members to rival Trian's. But Blackwell's is actually more, they're actually pleased with how Bob Iger is running the company, whereas Trian is trying to change the direction. 3 different executives here, Brendo, they're trying to assign to the board. One has real estate and venture capital experience. The other one was a former executive with Warner Brothers. And the other one, just a co-founder of a company. So good experience, but kind of bewildering.
Yeah, Disney teetering here at $90 or just above $90 down here. So far, we've sat there for the past few days, guys, for DIS.
Well, yeah, if you watch this show enough, on the daily chart, I always have volume on a chart, but the other things that are on my daily chart, the 50 period and the 200, don't really have indicators on the intraday charts. But you have a convergence of the 50 and the 200 on Disney, which can tell you what is happening just at or beneath that $90 level. It's sitting, both those moving averages are sitting just underneath at about 89.75. So like that, to say that that's a key level just below this 90 would be a bit of an understatement. If it can hold on to it again today, I think this is the type of situation where when you have a level like that, it gets down there on the open. If any buyers start to show up in that range, just look for scalp longs off the bottom. And if it does break down underneath 89.75, let's say 89.50 goes, I mean, the stock, It has been fine in a lot of sense, but it would have some ways to be able to drop there. And it hasn't been very volatile lately. So my first thought would be, if you hold the opening range off that support level, then similar to GM when it couldn't break the tops yesterday, or BAC when it couldn't break the tops yesterday, if it doesn't break a resistance and you can short it in the middle of the day, if it doesn't break a support, then I think you can play bounces in the middle of the day. So that's what I'd be looking for on Disney. But underneath that price, I mean, come on, if you break both major moving averages, I don't know that you want to be fighting longs underneath it. Once again, Disney, to say I'm disappointed in the stock, it just cannot seem to break. Could not seem to break out, could not seem to get to 100. Next defense is right here at 90.
Yeah, I was just looking here at Disney as well into that 90 area. I mean, that bottom was, I was just looking at it. The bottom there for Disney was this 86.80 right into here, sorry, 89.80. So it's like, that's kind of the level that I'm trying to look at. That's where we started the move yesterday, straight up to the upside. So again, it's not down as much as the rest of the market. So let's wait to see. ES only down 0.5. Right here. So yeah, I mean, I like Disney. I don't really like it. I actually hate the stock, but I am in it. So I do want to try to get out. We did, again, talk yesterday to Brian Shannon. I actually asked him, and again, this is, you're going to hear from real traders in the market recap show. And we talked about this 90 bottom. He actually kind of likes where Disney's looking at right now. So let's wait to see if we do sort of loop back up here on DIS. The streaming wars, thank you, Rob. The streaming wars are over, and they're just another casualty of it. But hopefully, with all this sort of talk back and forth with activists and whatnot, hopefully Disney can get going back up to the upside and give us a chance to sell somewhere in around 97 again. And then hopefully back up through 100. But still, that's 10% away. So that's all pipe dreams for now. There we go. The imbalances are out. So let's have just a quick little look here to see if anything is going through any quarter levels, bets, of course, whatever. We always talk about that. That's it's still back. That's at 1 cent flat now. That's pretty interesting. Down 10%. Apple with a sell, absolutely no surprise. Like I said, we're not getting any of these pops anyways in Apple, and if we do, that'd be fantastic. We sold some Snapchat the other day at 17. That's going to pay out pretty nicely there. There's Palantir with a sell. Let's see where that goes. Pfizer continues with the bids up to $30 again here today. Looks like we fell from 30.50, but that's okay. Other than that, man, NEO's a name that we could look at off the jump as well. Already doing 3 million shares. That's here. U.S. Steel on buyout and all that kind of stuff. Nice move there. And then Citigroup, as Sharif's been mentioning, the banks been really, really hot. And I mean, we stay long the banks other than, unfortunately, SoFi gets hit today. But if you're in the big boys, man, I mean, we've been identifying this from a long time. It's been well worth staying in some of these banks. So look at Citigroup, man. Monster move, 38 to 53. Like big money center banks aren't supposed to move like this. So again, I do wonder if there is a little bit of a pullback coming. But for now, stay with the trend because, as they say, the trend is your friend.
Up with oil, just taking out session highs, by the way, for crude right now, 1.6% to the upside. Some of these individual names, though, not really participating so far this morning. There's XOM, kind of flat, but a couple days in a row here, back higher for oil.
Yeah, and Mizuho had a comment today, Brendo, on XOM. Nitin Kumar, the analyst for Mizuho, downgrading ExxonMobil from buy to neutral and announcing a $117 price target. They do see economic headwinds for energy in general in 2024, so we'll have to see how that does.
Yeah, trying to get back above where we ended yesterday currently, guys.
Oxy is one of those names where the trend actually ended pretty early. It was a good long off 60, but that was pretty much done at like 10:30. Like that first hour of the day was nice. It came all the way back and ended up closing at $60 again. So I think the $60 level could be key for Oxy. I think Chevron was the only one of these names that was up on the day. But Oxy, if you looked at it for 60. If it's holding above 60, I think that's a good sign. And then looking for longs, I don't know if I like it as much today as yesterday, because we were setting up off of a higher low in yesterday's trade, whereas today it's kind of the opposite. You're rejecting the 50 period. You couldn't really close above it. Not nearly as strong a look, but I still like the $60 level in a general sense. I suppose if you're trending above it, I could go back to that name in Occidental.
All right, I'm short Mara right now. Bitcoin just touched 42,000. It looked like it was trying to break it right there. So again, Bitcoin going to be on my mind as it is on all of yours as well. So there it is, man. It just tried to break through 42. So I'm gonna try to hold this short a little bit here on Mara, looking to get more. But my out is 22 bucks. If Mara takes down 22, we just shorted a little baby amount here. We're waiting for more. I'll tell you where I'm waiting right now. 2140 plus 21. So if we get something up near 21, we'll add to this position with only now 45 seconds to go. Cat is back, so say hola to Cat right now, so that's nice. But we do have Adara on the bell in just 30 seconds. So short right now, Mara, and let's see if we can get more up to the upside on that play. We're looking at Apple as well. We're gonna be looking at a lot of names. Let's just wait to see where we get filled. So yeah, with only 20 seconds to go, I'm gonna be looking at Apple off the jump. I have orders on Apple, BABA, Intel, Mara, Palantir. So this could be real juicy if this market starts to go upside.
Which it isn't doing a heck of a lot, but Adara on the bell, ring it in 3, 2, and 1, go.
All right, thank you, Adara, for that. I'm still watching Apple. I mean, Apple's got my eye right
Apple,
now.
It's the Apple.
Yeah, it's the Apple. You like that one, Fabian? We're already on one, but we're on one every day. Okay, so here we go. Here comes Mara. Let's just take 30 cents if we can get it back down in there into the 20s, and then we'll just work on it. I mean, we want to get higher and get shorter on this name as well, as Bitcoin is now open for it. Well, Bitcoin's now open. The market's open, but Bitcoin now can watch the market. 42.1 right now for BTC. Here we go. Hopefully we get some more short upside. Ooh, hopefully we get some more. There we go. Now we're short. Okay, so let's watch out for Mara. Now we're starting to get spicy to the upside here for MARA. Remember, we do have our, we're short at 79. We do have our out breaking through $22. We're just baby steps into this thing. I like this 2150. Whoa, we're really going right there. 2150 to put on some real shares. And then, hey, man, it could be an L to start the day if Mara and Bitcoin keep on ripping.
Yeah, NEO just bounced. The SoFi's at $9. So you're getting, it's not even a huge bounce in the overall market. What the heck is that wick on SoFi? That might have been real, but SoFi just tagged $8.99 and then just fell off the 9 level. So I'm going to look to fade. I like 920, but if you don't get to if you don't break $9, you don't get to 920. I'm going to look for the first available fade here. SoFi, of course, got a bit of a downgrade. I forget by whom, but that doesn't necessarily matter.
That's correct. All right, so Mara, we just were in the money, 20 cents. We didn't take it. We'll wait to see if it gets back into the 60s. We do have a bid there now. So there we go. Yeah, you're right, John Reinhardt. We are short on that name, and let's just see where we go from there. All right, just a quick little shout here to Apple just to see Wagwan. Nice move back up to 185 and really ripping now. Apple really starting to go. We're going to wait for that 186. I mean, why is my chart not updating? There it is. Look at Apple. There it is. A nice little move straight up fire right now up to the upside. As we have to be careful here with NASDAQ because, like I said, man, we ripped up the market yesterday. We were quite nice. And then now today we're trying to do the same thing again. But let's watch out for Apple coming up into 186. That's going to be a level for me up there.
Yeah, so I did get in SoFi. I already scalped some as it just tagged the 90 level, but I wanted to get to, the last thing we talked about was Disney and 89.90, just underneath $90, 89.75. Well, Disney just hit $90 exactly at the open and is making a little bit of a bounce. So there is a chance that it's actually holding on to that support level. I'm not in any Mara. I just wanted to go a little bit further. But what is coming in, as Sean mentioned, is Apple. Apple just cracked 185. I think it's going to load. I think it's going to have a chance to get to previous close yesterday. 187.5 is a bit of a pipe dream to fade that level, but yesterday's close area at 185.5. 185.60 is where it closed, but 185.5 does give you a spot to play off of here on Apple. I want to fade it until it proves otherwise. Tesla, no pop to 248, but Apple is popping up to give the short.
All right, let's check out Palantir. We're just going to stay with our plan here, plan of Accione. All right, Palantir. Ooh, damn it. That sucks, man. Should have been looking at Palantir earlier. It went to 30. That's good enough for me, man. I mean, our short was going to be at 50, so we should have had that, but we did not. Okay, come on, Mara. Let's just go to this damn party together, man. Let's see if we can get some money here on MARA. We've just been shorting a little bit more, and I like it. So let's see if the short will wind up paying out for us or not here on MARA. It just went back down and then just ripped again. Like, look at that. We just touched the 50 period at 74, and I didn't have any bids there. All right, so let's put a couple bids lower here, because otherwise we're just making a mistake by not getting out. I mean, how many times are we going to see that bounce back and forth, right? So, all right, let's give this a minute here for Mara. You guys know that we are waiting for a little bit more. Am I? Where's my orders? I thought we were, okay, it's not there. I'm trying to wait at 21.50 there for Mara. I guess that order canceled when I didn't get that fill. So, okay, we'll take a little bit of a short rate now, because we should already be short a little bit more up here. So we'll get a little bit more here on Mara, and then let's just see what's going on. We're still waiting for that 21.50. And then if we break through 22, then that's enough pain for this trade. It doesn't look like it really wants to go down, but hey, it's the only trade that we're in right now, so we can continue to watch that one. And of course, like I said, Apple. is not ready for me yet, coming up into 186.
So I got wicked out SoFi there. First out was at 90 in terms of catching a bid, but then it wicked $9. I'm looking to make that re-entry when you get that wick, but sometimes that's what's going to happen. You have a stop, you adhere to it. If you hold through, great. If it was breaking up, I was looking for 920 as the next level. I am into Apple. I like that previous close area back into the even dollar, but I need to pick up some SoFi. Rejection at $9, and I want to get back into that bad boy. Tesla. Before we get into things, I'm just canceling my offer on Tesla. Tesla is hunting for 240 pretty much right away at the open. It is only going downside. When a stock makes that move and it's missed, I look for either, do I like support, maybe 240 even, or is this short to pop now that I've missed a trade? And the other one, just quickly over to Rivian. Rivian in the $20 level, expecting a little bit of support at that $20. There was no fade above 21 to even think about getting into Rivian. But noting that Tesla's weak, I am still looking for that trade on Rivian short, just like yesterday. So Apple's a new trade. Got to get back into some SoFi as well. I haven't seen anything juicy on the chips yet. I think it's only a matter of time. The market's still in the pocket, but it's catching a bid off 16.6.
All right, we're going to wait for 187 like we mentioned here. Okay, there goes Apple. So right now, okay, let's go. We are now finally into this name. So far, so good here. As we let it rip up, like this is exactly the kind of plan that we're trying to do. Whether or not it works out, maybe the market was only down for one day. And we said that could be the case. And then that we would be net short everything. And that's pretty much what we are right now. Come on, Apple, let's go. Let's get a little bit more excited here, Apple, as you try to dance around. There are some numbers coming out, of course, at 10 o'clock. But here we go. Let's just go a little bit of bang action here as we'll try to see if Apple can make its way back down. We are short a lot more shares here than, not more than we're not comfortable with, but we wouldn't mind taking some out here on that one. Mara trying to go back up. So we do get that 21.50 or so, Phil. Now we're short at 21 flat, so we got to watch out for that. I mean, if the market tanks, great, we'll have Apple. And Apple's really, we just shorted exactly as we said, man, 186. We're short at 80s right now. So let's just see if this one, let's go Apple right now. There we go, man. The money is coming back into the building now on that trade. It's really just Mara that we're giving back some of what we made in the last couple of days on that name as that continues its march higher. But Apple, we got it, man. We had Apple yesterday. We got it again today.
Gonna get into some long on Disney here. Apple, if it breaks 185, it just broke 185.50. I took a first fill there in the 30s on Apple. But you're seeing the market try to bounce here. If we bounce off 90 again on Disney, remember that 50 and 200 period moving average on that stock. So I want to hold that level. I'm just going to get my stop order. We can put stop orders in before we even get into this. Let's go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Apple now down to 185. So we like to fade on it. It came in through one more time. I'm about 40 cents from entry on Mara as it gets into that $22 level, and it's screaming into it. I think there's a chance that we're going to get to short that pop.
All right, guys, you guys know what we talk about here on the show, man, and it's just like, trade the names that you trust right there. And Apple was the #1 name on the sticky note, and it's going to be, again, the #1 net name here, period. So that's going to be a good trade there for us on Apple here to start the day. But it's Mara that is bleeding a little bit. So we're only out right now of about half of Apple, right? And again, we'll trade with completely different styles. So remember that. Everybody trade your own book for sure. I'll take a little more shares and scalp them out. right? Meanwhile, you can hold for much bigger winners on all of these names if you do wish to. But right now, let's go. Let's spin the money right now for Apple because it's 40 cents in. And again, we did exactly what we thought we were going to do, and that was short up there near that 186. Sure, it could have gone a little bit more, but let's wait to see. All right, so here goes Mara. Mara all the way up there into 2150. Again, you know, we could have waited for a little bit better entries. We did have too many there at 21. So yeah, we have to get very, very specific here on what we're trying to do with this market. So Apple is absolutely tanking. Like, was that not a good idea? You guys have to. Again, I can't just keep doing it because, yeah, I will. But again, the number one ticker on here, short 186 on Apple. You know, the high of that move, 185. Well, I'm short at 185.80. So whatever it is right there, you know, definitely pay dirt there on Apple. It's a graduation trade for everyone behind us, but we'll wait to see where Apple can go from here. Down through 185, hopefully goes Apple. Lower, lower, lower. Let's see what happens now with this name.
What I think happens with the market looking like it's bouncing is you have relative weakness once again in Apple because you're just holding the low. Sorry, I'm looking at BAC, and I want to get to this in a quick second as fast as I can. This was on my note this morning. We mentioned that some stocks had some resistance. Banks were strong. BAC brick wall 34. It's already falling in from that high. On the first available pop, I want to look to fade this. I know the banks were strong yesterday, but that's yesterday's story, not today's. So if there's a pop in that name, I want to grab it. 184.5 seems like a bit of a fighting zone. I got an out in front of that 185, but I want it back underneath the pre-market high. It failed yesterday's closing range. That's where I was keyed in. It's the same, pretty much the same area. But underneath this level, I'm looking for 184.5 to take something out in front. Mara just missed the $22 level. It came close, but no cigar. I threw an order when it failed 21.50. I'll wait for it to get back up there again because I think it might have the strength to do that. And then going back over to SoFi, I'm now looking to join underneath 890 to the downside. So I might have got wicked out, but I'm just looking to jump right back in here in the 80s as we go to the desk with Adara.
Pure Storage here, PSTG up about 7.5%. This one has been supposed to be joining the S&P 400 mid cap, and also has gotten a price target increase from Stifel. So keep an eye on PSTG, guys.
And I mean, we are just, thank you so much, Adara, for that one. Let's go. It's alert, alert, alert. And the chef is in the building right now. Let's go Apple, man. Let's light this market on fire to the downside here. We are short Apple. And again, this is what we're doing. This is why we're in just chill mode right now. It's like Travis Scott's sicko mode right now. Just pure chilling out. You know, we know who we are. We know the kind of trades that we make. And right now, we're going to see. We're going to go 2 for 2, hopefully, here. There goes Mara. 2 for 2, hopefully. 2 for 2, hell yeah. Mara, we are now short right here. 21.20. It's not great, but we still got on our big position. So hopefully, this will come back in just a little bit here for MARA. Let's go, man. I got to get some bids in the 80s and stuff like that in case we do fall. But this is going to be a saving grace for me right here on Mara because the ability to get something out there near 21, wow, you know, lets me just sort of, you know, appreciate this win. Oh, there it is right now. There we go. That's that graduation trade we talked about. Now $1 and change on Apple. Let's see if it goes back down into the downside. Mara's a little tricky, man. I mean, I'm going to get some more out here at 21 flat. If we can just sort of put that in our pocket and maybe hold half the shares on Mara, then I think that we'll be doing a little bit better than what we'll be doing right now. So let's wait to see where Mara goes from here. Hopefully back into the 21.20s. And if it breaks through 22, we already have our out. So we'll wait to see if that can get executed. Plus, we'll get a little bit more short up here near 21.70. But I told you, man, we're changed. We've completely changed. Yesterday, banger day. Today, we're going to try to see if we can repeat it. Let's try to hold some of these. There goes Apple back into that dollar club. You don't have to be early to that. You just have to be well-dressed. And we are well-dressed here with Apple on the short.
Yeah, it's definitely working out well on Apple, but the market is headed to the upside. And I finally found out that, shout out to everyone in the chat, found out what's moving the market here. The chips are strong. The chips made a good rebound. Now I'm looking at ARM because it just did a huge liquidity grab under 67. This could make a $3 or $4 move if it holds on to 67. But AMD is not the strongest name. Intel just got to 47 okay, my bad wick, 47.80. It's trying to punch through yesterday's close price. That's a big litmus test for it. Previous close is always going to be significant. It was red on the day. It's moved almost $1 off of the bottom. Nvidia as well at the 480 level, low, trying to get back into the upside. It's the move off the lows. These were all gapped to the downside. Resistance here, 483. I do like some fade trades if we can get up there. Here's AMD, 140 I like on AMD. That's the one I've been waiting for, but you're only at 137. So a little bit of relative weakness in AMD. Previous close is 138.5. We like previous closes as mentioned already. There's more retest of the high. So, okay, I'm in it off the $22 level. Let's see if it can hold that 22 area. It's been an absolute rocket ship to the upside on Mara as it goes into 22. And here comes Coinbase as well. I like 155 on Coin, thinking Mara was going to be at least a couple of trades before Coinbase got to 155. Well, we're here in one more push to the upside. Market looking strong. And Disney, I'm going to slap a fail on myself for that one.
Where is that? Because I want to go.
90.60 on Disney. When it broke back above the quarters, I tried to hit quarters, missed. Tried to hit 35s on a dip and missed that as well. If it does pop back in, I think the long off 90, which we showed you on that daily chart, the 50 and 200 period, same levels. I want to try to be long Disney off of that support level. It's support until it breaks. That's my attitude. It's the same thing as a resistance level. Until you break it, I just want to play off it.
All right. Yeah, we already identified Disney, man. If we should have been long 90. We already talked about that. I mean, it's just so stupid that I give myself all these ideas and then I just don't even take them. So that Disney down there long at 90, that could be something for sure. So let's still continue to watch that. All right, Apple's bouncing off the 200 period. Let's just see if it continues to do that. I do have a bid down there. Obviously, this market could crank a little bit lower than where we are right now. And if that does happen, then yeah, we're all good here with AAPL. Let's just see where that does go. We're short now here at 40 on Mara, and it's definitely not been a short. So that has been completely wrong. As you guys can all see, sort of what Bitcoin was in the middle of doing right now. So hold on, I'll call it up in just a second for everybody. Bitcoin trying to make a move back up to the upside, although it's kind of just chilling out. It's 42.3 right now, so kind of just bouncing around this 42.0 part. But Mara's going to break $22, and when it does, we will get out. And that is, you know, sometimes when you use, we talk about using bigger shares and everything like that, and if you're going to use it, then you do take hits on bigger shares. So Mara will come up to the upside and break through $22 today. We will be flat net-wise because what we make on Apple will give back almost to the dollar net on Apple and Mara. So, you know, we take the shot and just not working out here on this short, but which is okay. We just should have made it, we should have left it to make a top. It just didn't really do that except for here at 21.50, and that was really the only pullback there. There we go. This last reload there, oh, I still have a little bit of shares left. There, we'll just get out of those. That last little reload there was just a small piece just to see if it held through 22, but obviously it doesn't. So, hey man, we can't celebrate the wins and not talk about the failures. There's Mara. So again, almost to the penny, we're gonna be a zero today on these two trades. So let's wait to see here. Hopefully Apple can get down and then we'll make a little bit of money on something. But for right now, Mara stopped out. One win, one loss today. How's your day going?
It's about the same nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, Mara is super strong. Someone just said, why not long? The SSR bounce play for me would have been if it tested $20. I always wanted testing the low. And initially, sometimes it never gives you the low for that bounce, but that would have been a scalp trade. I said I would have been out of that at 21 anyway, so I don't think that's set up at all. I waited for it to get a market high for 22s. If it gets to 23, I'd probably take another shot at it. So if you get to what is working, now if you're long Disney, then I don't need to tell you that that's working for you, but it's not exactly screaming. I think it gets another test back into that 90 level. You can see it just chilling out at 90.50, so I want to respect that. Apple's in pocket, so I think that's still good. And Tesla chilling out at 240. It just made an initial bounce, down 3% Tesla. Now, you know I like Rivian a little bit better. I was patient with entries for Rivian. It's still doing the old stair step down. It's trying to bounce off 2020, pre-market lows at 2040. If it curls here off this 2040 pre-market low, that's where I'd look for an entry point. I was waiting for a bounce to be able to get in, and it's looking like it's making a bounce here. VWAP doesn't matter at this time, but if you're watching, it's at about 20.5 on Rivian.
We've got a great fill on. I mean, Apple just tanked right there. We got 77s on Apple. So that's going to be a good one. New position alert. New position alert. It's Google. And we're not short in the money or anything like that. It was just in the money, but we'll wait to see where it goes. Target, sort of, we see what we're talking about. We just bounced off this exact level there. 15s or so. So let's put a bid there in and around 15, and then we'll put one way lower than that, just in case this market does go for a little bit of a collapse. Look, the thing is like you can't, we had a big day yesterday shorting everything, and then right now, and we were dead right about that as the market, I think, finished near its lows. But we'll wait to see here where this market goes now, right? And so this is a completely different beast today than obviously it was yesterday. So again, we are now only have about 15% of Apple left, so that was a monster for us. It's a good thing we got out of Mara. Is there a spot we can reload it? Probably not now. Bitcoin's still not moving, and Mara trying to go green. So, the relationship there, not what I sort of thought it would be. We'll wait for Google. Again, the Google out is the high of the day of 138.60. So that should be coming into play at some point there again. And Citigroup, wow, Citigroup just continues to make a move down. So I thought all you guys are probably going to think that I was going to say ripping. But look at this, man. Straight to the downside today. As it seems like a little bit of a switch, man. Tech up,
reversal.
Financials down. So no surprise there, in my opinion anyways, that sometimes there's going to be, as we all know, sector rotations. So, all right, here comes Google back in. Give me that fill. Right there. So there we go, man. Another 20-cent winner here for you. So we're going to go 2 for 3. Apple short, Google short. Let's get out another piece right there. Bang, at 07 right there. There it is, man. Stick with me. We should be okay. Let's go, Google. Let's just make this move to the downside again. Just short now, taking about a 1-to-1 on this trade. Let's see where we go from here, though. It's Google.
Yeah, similar look here for myself in terms of like just getting the last short that I put in was Rivian and looking for the 1-to-1 at that 2020 level. Shout out to you, Tisha. Thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate you. SIDU is halted. SIDU. Maybe it's pronounced a different way. It's a second halt of the day, halted to the upside at 10:07, not the time, that's the price, and its indicated open is 10:60. So it's another low float because of reverse split runner. If it gets up to, I think it was like 15 something, was that high last week. So SIDU once again on the run. Now 10.75 is the indicated open price. It's not a stock that I look to be trading. You want these early if you can get them. And this has already run, what, $2.50 since the open, and it's now the second halt of the day. You could see a few more of those with a stock like this. Tesla's still falling, so that's probably going to be a good thing for Rivian. And I just checked notes, and I will hate myself because, whatever. 2250, I was saying short pops to 2250 on Mara, and then I looked at my chart, I was like, yeah, the 50 level, 2150, that was wrong. And the more frustration is I never got back into SoFi. SoFi was starting to work, I got wicked out. I am right now the top wick on SoFi, but I will look to short the next available pop. If it comes into VWAP, you got to grip and rip. Wait for the next trade. If you strike out on a trade at the plate, you look for just the next opportunity. You see one in the middle of the plate, you go hacking. So if I get this trend back in to VWAP here, I'm going to look for the fade on SoFi. Down 10% on a downgrade from a firm I've never heard of, but that's not necessarily the reason for it. It's been weak for a while. Weak.
Yeah. All right, we'll start a new position because again, like just being distracted and not paying attention. I'm missing some opportunities here because Palantir again, like I'm waiting at, where I'm waiting? 1642 or 1645, sorry. Like it just went to 42 or 38s. Actually, we didn't break 40. So my bad. We weren't really close to getting a fill there yet on that. So we'll wait to see if we get some more. But we are in a new position. It's Palantir. We did capture out Google. I mean, we're already out of more than half of this as it just dropped right back in. And again, all we're trying to do now is stack, man. We talked about that. We're just trying to stack up the wins right now because, we did have that L on Mara. And I'm not, recently we're not used to taking L's, so we got to regroup. But there it goes. Mara did make that high at 2250. Again, Bitcoin really not doing too much. Just looking at a chart, we've just really continued to dominate these big cap tech names. So why am I even looking at Mara? But again, it doesn't really have anything until that level that I was talking about. I was just about to say 23. Like I don't really see anything. Maybe you could short this 2270 into 23, but again, like Bitcoin's not moving. Here's Bitcoin. We just 42.2. Like that's exactly the levels that we've been talking about all morning. So not aggressive at all is BTC today, but Mara seems to have some buyers in it. So let's wait to see. It looks like it might fade out a little bit here. Palantir, we just got another fill, so now we're short at 27. We're just gonna try to go against, I think it's against 50 was the level where I really wanted to get the short. And then I felt like if we were gonna be a big time loser on this thing, it would have to break above this 50 period moving average. But as you can see, it's getting a little bit more aggressive to the downside. So 1670. So maybe I have to slow down on how many shares I'm getting here with this name, because again, if we break a little bit lower or a bit higher on Palantir, I don't want to be overexposed to that. But right now we're short 27s. I'm looking to get some more as we get up here into the 40s. But hey, hopefully if we're lucky enough, we don't get anywhere near that.
There's a news piece out a couple of minutes ago on Alibaba here, just to get your attention. Alibaba still moving towards an IPO for the Kenio IPO. So I mean, there's been a lot of talk of they're spinning off, and obviously there's been some good and some bad, but looks like that's causing a little bit of a spike on Alibaba. It just went red to green. Shout out to everyone in the chat that was mentioning this. 75 was a good level yesterday, back and forth, but it was this top here at 75.40 that I think it needs to clear through. Maybe dip buying off of the closing range just underneath 75 is a better way to approach the 75 level. Like 74.80 to 90 would make some sense. I'm assuming PDD and some of the others might be moving in sympathy, but I'll have my eyes on BABA because that's where the news story just came in. I did get that first fill down at 24.20 on Rivian. Excuse me. Rivian on the way down to 20 bucks. If it takes out the 20 level, this is short sell restricted. If it breaks 20, you can throw an order. It doesn't mean you're going to get a fill. You need an uptick for it to get through. So I'll look to try to fade this again and get a reload on a bounce play on Rivian. Just go back to the daily chart. There's room to the 50 period and the 200, all that good stuff. I think the next big level down is about 1960 if we're on this Rivian 20 break. It hasn't broken yet, but it looks like it will. The market, for anyone paying close attention to the NASDAQ, you're just chilling out in the bottom of the range here. There has been a bounce. You got a couple of green candles in here, but what have we bounced? Like 20 points, 30 points off of the lows. Not a heck of a lot going. The market's still trying to figure itself out. So you got to be a little bit patient, stick to what is working. I'm going to go back to the drawing board on Mara and sort of back to the levels that should have made more sense. I can't talk about one of my favorite things being support turning into resistance and then short something in the middle of thin air. That's a fail. Like, you got to wait for the key level. Like, you wait for it to get into that resistance zone and then put the trade on.
All right. Let's just find some more opportunities. I mean, we talked about that Citigroup trade. Shout out to everybody. And again, hit the like, hit the subscribe, do all that stuff.
Like and subscribe
today. And also make sure that you join me tonight for the market recap show again. All right, Palantir, nice move again. Money. Man, we're going to go 3 for 4 now today. Damn you, Mara. This is going to be the only red name here for me today. But here goes Sidhu, now open up to 1170. What's up, Tisha? Up to 1150 now. It is open and starting to move around. So again, this name view up at 9, protection possibly at 10 for a nice even level right now. But hey, man, we cannot ignore. It's back in, man. We're still here. It's still back in the money right now for this. So Apple back to $1 club. Mara coming back in, Palantir coming back in, Google coming back in. That's what we're talking about, man. Again, take the lump a little bit there off the open there with Mara, which was disastrous as we've talked about, but then just make it back.
Tesla just broke.
Yeah, stay who you are. And so we'll go over there to Tesla. Stay who you are, stay with your strategies is what I'm getting at, because, you know, you have to be, again, real as to if things are actually working for you or not. And Palantir, Google, some of these shorts came into play. It's one bad call right there for Mara. And it's not even that bad. We'll be fine. But let's just wait to see what happens here right now. Palantir dancing around a little bit. At the 200 period, let's see if we can break. I don't have more bids. I got to get some out here. Let's see what Palantir does. That's going to be a good short, man. Again, another sticky note name that we talked about.
So Tesla broke 240. That's a big key level. Rivian is testing 20 even right now. I have that level 2 up. If it fails a 20 break, I'll jump out of this trade here at 35 and look for another entry. But Tesla 3.7 to the downside, Rivian 5% to the downside. The market is now at those lows of the day. So still just in the 2 shorts. I haven't really found anything to the long side. I mean, we liked Disney, but okay, I'm just going to cancel my Disney bid. Disney just tagged 91. So, I mean, Disney has to drop $1 almost at this point to get that long. So if it falls that far, you play it by ear. I want to look at the levels when it gets down there instead of just sitting on the bid, 5-6% away. Rivian just broke that 20 level, so we'll hold on through. I'm looking for a pop for a reload here. On a quick fail through 20 even, this could be interpreted as an SSR bounce. I would get out of it if it gets back above that 20 and look for a re-entry, whether it's above or below. The trend is your friend, and it is to the downside on this EV name. Oh, there was Alibaba, but I mean, at this point, I'll let Alibaba sort of cool down. The market is heading to the downside. So the shorts were the right to look into. It's a matter of being patient and sort of sticking to your plan overall, which is always how trading is going to be. And as we said, just like yesterday, the market is red. It tried. I mean, you had some bounces in the first 20, 25 minutes, but we just retested the low. As a matter of fact, the ES convincingly broke the low. It's the NASDAQ which is testing it.
All right, man. I mean, we're just chilling again. I mean, this is exactly, there's every single name on here is a short on the sticky note. So it's just like, it just continues to work. We do have Jolt's openings. That should be really, really important in just a couple minutes. We just got a great fill on Palantir. So if we want to, we can go to Adara. We have multiple numbers coming at 10. Fabian, you just let me know what you want to do. And of course, I will do that. There we go right now, man. It's another one, another banger. We get that fill on Palantir. Let's go to Adara.
Getting these numbers coming in right now, expecting ISM manufacturing PMI. Previous was 46.7, where the forecast is 47.3. We just got 47.4, so slightly higher than the forecast here for the ISM manufacturing PMI. Jolt's job openings coming in at 8.79 million. Previous was 8.852 million. Forecast was 8.75 million. So again, slightly higher than the forecast for both the ISM manufacturing PMI and the Jolt's job openings here as well. Manufacturing employment and manufacturing new orders. Manufacturing employment slightly higher than the forecast of 46 here, coming in at 48.1. New orders slightly lower here, 47.1 versus the forecast of 48.5. In terms of individual, so we have the SPY here not reacting too much to that, down about 0.5 right now on the day. In terms of individual stocks, NEO still down a little bit after announcing the repurchase right notification for 0.0% convertible senior notes due 2026. SoFi also continuing to the downside, down over 10% right now after getting a downgrade from Keefe, Bruyette & Woods to underperform. Brought to you by Surge Trader, account funding of up to $1 million. Keep up to 90% of the profits. Enjoy relaxed trading rules with 8% max trailing drawdowns in all new accounts. The product has simple rules and no time limits. Just go to surgetrader.com/TTV and use the promo code TTV for 10% off.
Thank you very much, Adara. That number coming through. And there was a bit of a bounce in the market off of that. I saw the ES break off those lows. Same thing with the NASDAQ. We're kind of just fading right back into it. Apple wicked 185. At this point, if it takes out 184.5, which is where we got the last out, I'm thinking you got to shoot low of the day here. If you reverse course, do a wick top on a number, a lot of times you'll get like bottoms and tops on a 10 o'clock number. If that's the case, I think Apple's going to see that low of the day. That might give an opportunity for Alibaba entries. Is Alibaba now popping again off that 75 levels at 75.5? I'm going to look to buy a dip in Baba. This is going to the upside. We talked about the IPO news just now, and I'm not seeing too many things that are breaking highs of the day. Baba's in that category. Got out of Rivian, looked for a pop off the 20 level. When it regained it, it got to 2010. No move into 2020. I do want to short the pop one more time in Rivian if we can get down into VWAP. And SoFi, as mentioned, that's going to be, it happens, man. Like, this is, like, to me, like, when you take a loss on a trade, you take a loss on a trade. But when you miss one of your best, when you miss out on a big opportunity, you got to ask yourself some deeper questions there. So SoFi, I'm going to cancel my offers. I'm not getting any of those if it comes back up again. I am the top wick. The stock is down 12% today. $8 and $8.30 are the two support levels. Those might come into play before we even get a shot at the short one more time. I'm seeing Pfizer back to $30. Pfizer is relatively strong the last couple of days. Just remember yesterday, it could not punch through. Trades are not showing up on, yeah, well, our trades don't show up here, but on the 30 long, so Pfizer couldn't get past 30.25. So it was a double top up there. If it takes out this high, I think you just go long through the top on Pfizer. So it's a great trend to the upside. I haven't checked out Moderna today. It was Pfizer that I traded yesterday anyways.
All right, shout out to Dan Emmons sending me some tweets. Okay, so yeah, we'll short Alibaba and spin it right now a little bit here. I don't know, Palantir is a funny one, man. I don't know what's going on with that one. We're now out of 2/3 of Palantir. But here comes Alibaba, man. I'm just gonna keep on going here on it. We just took another dime. We got dimes twice on this name. I still think it falls, but I definitely do not like that news. I mean, we did have, it's changed. It's not that I didn't like it, it changed everything. So Alibaba was here on the short, and then we got that sort of that IPO talk a little bit there. So that's gonna change everything for Alibaba and that short. Let's let Palantir go back to the upside, man. I'm gonna wait for 36s basically to get short again on Alibaba, or sorry, on Palantir. And then I really do wanna give this to 1670, but maybe the market, maybe the market is strong today. I mean, I don't want to say it is, because I don't think it is. It's just kind of hovering around pre-market highs right now. But it's not, as opposed to weak, it's strong. So we'll wait to see. I mean, still down 0.5%, still well in the pocket of being able to short this thing. You know, so we're going to be short Apple, and we're going to stay short Apple, and that's what we are right now. But we talked about this yesterday, some of this little dump area down here at 16.6. So that's kind of what we're bouncing around with right now. We did hold it. 16.550 was a level yesterday that we talked about, but we got into these levels yesterday. So can we get into there today? I would say yes again, but those numbers didn't do much to the market. So if anything, they sort of started that little bit of a rally. For me, fade the pops, continuous, just keep doing the same damn thing. We're now $1 again. Obviously, it's the same trade in the money here on Apple. We've been scalping it out as it goes. And then Google was actually, this is probably right now near a reload position. I don't know why, again, see, too much talking. I feel like I'm doing the show for you guys, but like, I feel like I'd be so much more effective if I just focused on just these names, which is what we're trying to do. Just in a few names, 3 for 4 today. That's really what it's all about. Google right here to the top. This is my out. The only problem is the market, I feel like, has changed a little bit. We've made the bottoms, and we just keep on bouncing off of 16.6. All right, with that being said, if Google can get us back into that, well, we were just up there. Let's see if we can short 27s, 28s again. Here it comes. Give it to me. Give it to me. Oh, yeah. There it is. A nice little short there into 27. We are going to be stopping out of this into the 60s for Google. So more shares waiting near 50 into the 60s. We'll get stopped out here on Google. But so far, so good, as the day just continues to be pretty good. 1L today. Mara, which is still continuing to go higher. So congratulations on that one. As Bitcoin right now continues to march as well. 42,475. So it looks like we're going to get to 42.5 right now on BTC. So buying that dip has been very, very profitable for those of you that are on Coinbase, you know, probably any kind of BTC ETF or anything like that, Purpose or GBTC or whatever. You guys have been probably making a little bit of bank there. And look at that, man. We just reloaded Google. Money. There it is, man. If you're looking for winning trades, look no further. Hopefully we can give some more as this day continues to go.
Oh, there's always time for more. The market's going bottom top a couple of times. If we come just Bitcoin making, John just mentioned Bitcoin making a bit of a rally. Now you can't see that. Oh,
there it is. There.
Oh, there it is. I'll zoom out so you can see it. When you made a bounce early off that quadruple, it was Google. Right where we broke out at 42.8 That's where the market got to on Bitcoin. If it gets through that price, that's when I would turn bullish. It needs to break that resistance area on Bitcoin. So it's obviously making a bit of a move back in. That puts Coinbase, if it gets to 155 at that same level, you might not punch through. And it's the same thing with Mara. We talked about it being in the ether and shorting it in the ether. Well, and now it's getting into that
back on podcasts.
23 even, 2250 is that bottom, 2270 is that bottom. That's the pocket. Previous support turning into resistance, which we like. Rivian doesn't even want to pop with the market. I'm still on the offer looking to short the next available pop. Like, what has worked today? Apple and Rivian to the south side, SoFi obviously as well. that's way too far down at this point. I might just have to take the first consolidation or the next consolidation off of 2010. So I'm just going to move a stop order, cancel this, short this one, and the next time it gets over 20 with a tight stop at 2010. If we're taking the stairs to the downside, well, you just want to make sure you step on the next step. And the next step here looks like it's going to be that $20 level. Affirm is a name that, Affirm and Unity were a couple things we talked about yesterday. Affirm punching through 45. It's still a ways away from yesterday's close range. So you got 45.70 here, 46.5. I think that's fadeable off of yesterday's resistance, and a similar story with Unity, which I was favoring trade, only it's a bit weaker. Yesterday's close never came into it. So this market could get back in maybe another, you could almost go green on the NASDAQ, I think, where a couple of those shorts would still come into play. I'm not turning bullish just yet, unless it's a name that had news, like Baba had news, unless it's something which bounced off support that I already like, which is Disney, that's holding near the highs, or Pfizer taking out these tops. If Pfizer can break through yesterday's top, I think that could be a good long as well. Some of you guys have been looking at that Sidhu trade. Not something that's necessarily for us. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that, but not something that I'm looking for when you have these wild opens and you're getting big percentage moves on big cap names. It did open after a couple of halts and got to 12 bucks. It's now back at about 11.50. Still looking pretty strong here after making a bounce off that $10 halt price. If it takes out the top again, it's very likely to halt. It's going to do so without me. I didn't even pay for locates because I'm not anticipating really wanting to trade this unless it does something stupid to 20, 25 bucks.
All right, so there it is again, man. I know we talked about going short on Alibaba, so there it is again. We are going to be obviously net positive today as we go Apple, monster winner, the number one name here today, number one net name for the show. The number one net name for the floor is Apple, and there it is right there. Alibaba not too far behind right now. Nice move for Alibaba. There's the short that we talked about. You know, is what it is right there, as that's bank.
Awesome.
No, I mean, honestly, guys, it's,
oh my God,
there's completely different results. I mean, I just hope you guys are seeing some of these plays, because, you know, they're doing quite well, and we're quite happy with some of the performances here. And this is why on days I don't have a problem telling you, you know, that we're going to go, you know, 1 for 1 there with Alibaba and Apple. That's 2 for 2 there. Google, we've reloaded it twice. You know, that's going to be 3 for 3. Mara, fail on Mara right there. And then Palantir, let's go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 for 5 today. And again, man, we're still waiting for that Britney thing. But yeah, we did do it again. There goes Alibaba again. Hey, man, now we're just 50 cents in the money. Again, like, let's just... Look, I talk for 5.5 hours a day, you know, putting in more work for everybody in the market recap show, and that's just going to continue as long as you guys like it. But, like, what can I do to get you, like, Apple short, Palantir short, Baba short, Intel we missed by 2 pennies short? You know, it's just like, it's... Just go find me at Trader TV Shot. Follow if you want. Put some comments on there. You know, we love being here every single day, and it's just like, if these results is what's going to hit. I told you that we were going to have a monster year, and I don't have any plans of changing that. So, you know, sort of is what it is right now. But all right. So Google, 35 cents. We just took that Baba. I mean, I've only been talking short Alibaba. There it is right there, 50 cents. So yeah, we're here. So far, so good. And thank you, AMK. Thank you, Trader Forever. Everybody, RL, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much, Adam. I know you guys appreciate the grind. And that's what it is. You know, it's sacrificing time and everything for you guys. You know, that's why the market recap show has been so popular that I just keep on doing it. You know, so thank you so much for the support. And as long as the support's there, we're going to be there as well. Palantir coming right back in again. So this is going to be
another one.
You know, we're just going to take this bid now at 11s or 12s. Can we even get it? Okay, there we go. We just punched out at 12s. Now we're bidding 11s, and there it goes again. So again, you know, like, despite some of the trials and tribulations early today, you know, we're going to be up. It's going to be a good day, and the day, as we say, is just getting started. So thank you for rocking with us. You've now found the best.
Exactly. And look, the market is going to give you plenty of opportunities every single day. If you want to be consistent every single day, just limit your losses. When you're wrong, just take the hit. Stick to what is working for you at all times. I think that's the easiest way to go into it. And that's how you're consistent on a day-to-day basis. Make sure your losing trades aren't too much winners, yada, yada, yada. We just broke low of the day on Unity. I thought we had a chance to get to the highs to be able to short that one, but it's a flat bottom break. This or Affirm, pick your poison. Unity 37.40, it's making a flat bottom break as we speak. So I want to look for a short off of this 50 level, just give it to the next even dollar. Okay, I know 37.50 isn't an even dollar, but to a trader, the half dollar is when it's a cheaper stock can come into play. So I want to look to short that one back into 50. If it goes back up, VWAP to be sure. Rivian did not give us that 2010. Unfortunately, I was looking for the short here at that 20 for the next curl. Rivian just continues to fall. So we got one leg. You're going to miss out on the second leg. I'm looking at the low of the day for Apple. I anticipate a bit of a bounce off that low of the day for a reshort, and then I'll jump back into that one. But I think the next available trade, looking like it is Unity at this point. The shorts have been paying off. I'll continue to show you guys. SoFi is going to be my biggest regret. It's bouncing off the 850 level. That's a nice psychological space to look for some kind of consolidation off the bottom here on SoFi. Trader forever, just, I don't know, Apple 179 to 180 zone.
Apple
putting
almost
it at that
$2.
200 simple moving average. That's what it's all about. I love that level as well. I don't think you necessarily get to 180 today, but we talked about a healthy retracement being to a level like that at that 180. So 184 looking pretty solid for that low, but 135, 183.50 is where my target is. The last target out was in front of that pre-market level. It was the pre-market high at the time, 184.50. The next gap fill is the low of the day, and I think that's where we're headed to. Tesla just continues to flush, but it's Rivian that I like the short better on out of the two EV names.
All right, man. So far, so good as we go. Was looking bad early on Mara, but have your confidence. Thank you to Naor and everybody in the chat there. It really does mean a lot because it's tough to sit here. It's not tough. I do it every day. I like doing it. But sitting here and giving, trying to entertain with the show, dealing with various other things. My kid messaging me right now. He wants to go to the movie theater with his friend tonight. So, of course, I said, fine. Let me see what movie he wants to go to. I don't know. I'm going to find out. He's 11, so I'm going to find out what movie he wants to do it. My daughter has practice right now. There's the new Hunger Games, but I don't think he's really into that.
There's a new Hunger Games movie?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I did see a preview. So it's like a prequel. It's
prequel.
Like
it is
it's
a prequel,
before the other series, or whatever.
But I just, so we do the show here. Yesterday we were lucky enough to be number one on the floor. We'll see if we can just continue to do that. But this is what we're doing. This is why I'm on the show. Hopefully to entertain and show you guys that being, sitting here on a prop floor, and because it's funny, I was at the dentist yesterday, and we were talking about trading, of course. I don't even know the guy. First of all, Alibaba right now, let's go. It's just about, and I told him, man, it's like about being a risk manager when you're trading and then just having the ideas and sticking with them, and that's to me what it's all about. And you got to love what you're doing. And like right there, look at this Alibaba trade. I mean, we wrote down here short 76. So we got short 75 on that pop up. It's like pretty simple stuff. This is going to be back to back to back to back days here. And then look at Apple. Apple's trying to go not one, but maybe $2 in the money on the same levels that we continue to talk about every day. So if you're confident on those levels, you use more shares. That's how trading works. So right there, we've been confident for a while now with November, December, and now back into January. So that's why when we get hit on Mara, it sucks because we actually have shares, but now we're back, we're live, and we're kicking here. And we're now 4 for 5. So it's like you go 1 for 1 off the jump. I could have lost on Apple as well. It's not, at the end of the day, you guys, every trader is responsible to look at their own net and figure out if they're actually a profitable trader or not. And if you are, up your shares. If you're not, go back into sim mode or play baby shares. All right, what's up, Adara?
Next immune here, NEXI is the ticker on the NASDAQ, up over 200%. This one just popping to the upside. Not any news on this one that I'm seeing right now, but we do have a float of 774,000. So very small float here, guys. NEXI.
Right.
Yeah, Adara just said that. I was about to say this with NYSE. In terms of the float, it's a sub 1 million float, which for me, it's like I don't even pay for locates on it because it'll run your butt over and there's not going to be liquidity. So the risk to reward only favors trading these things. The risk to reward, for my 2 cents, it only favors trading these things when they're in consolidations and not going parabolic, because at least then you know there's like you can see there's liquidity at a 6 to 6.5 level. Just when it gets into the middle of nowhere, all of a sudden your R&R is doubled up, which is that's not an effective way to play, unfortunately. At least, and it might be for somebody. I don't want to speak for everybody out there, but for myself, that's a no-fly zone for the short side. I'm not chasing anything up there either. 37 about to break. I'm still looking for a pop in Unity back into the previous low. The market is looking sufficiently red at this particular point. Marty D. Sharif always has his breakfast this time. That's who is eating. I don't know if you hear it in the background. I can smell it. It's absolutely delicious. But you have to have your routine. Sharif's routine is that he has 15 eggs in the morning after he does the morning show, and you just have to stick to your routine. Whatever it happens to be, as long as it includes watching the show every single morning and being prepared as a trader, you got to stick to you and do you. That's the most important thing. You cannot try to be a trader that you're not. Rivian, I want to get back over to Mara. Don't want to shy away from it because it is still, if it'll load for a second, it's still underneath that 22.5 previous support level. So it got right into that top, didn't quite break into the closing range yesterday, but it just eked out in front of it. If we fail that same high, that still sets up for a retracement short back into VWAP. So just because it happened to make a bounce higher than expected, it's still in the pocket for that level. I still favor a long in Pfizer. It is not breaking the high of the day, but it's holding on to the previous close. Market broke the low. It just pulled back into VWAP, which is also previous close. I'm looking for a long off VWAP here. If it breaks underneath 29.70, it closes at 73. I'll risk about 10 cents on Pfizer. I do prefer it breaking the high, but it was strong yesterday, so I am looking for longs in this stock in a general sense. It's 10:20. I think I heard a call to Adara for the small cap recap.
Another day with a lot of small cap runners, including Cetus Space SIDU. This one is securing approval to provide imaging services for government and commercial customers. Halting a little bit earlier. Now we're up about 52%. Neximmune here, NEXI. This one continuing to the upside, up over 260%. No news on this one, but very small float, under 1 million float here. Last but not least, Applied Therapeutics, APLT is the ticker for this one on the NASDAQ, up about 12% after disclosing validation and NDA submission for the treatment for a condition called galactosemia, guys.
Thank you very much there, Adara. Market continuing to make some lows, getting a bounce. There it is. Just got filled on Pfizer here. If it breaks underneath 29.70 under VWAP, there is a sizable gap that it can fill. So this is not a situation where I'd want to be long here, holding it all the way into the bottom. Like, this is a consolidated long, looking for a push into the high, and then would look for another long if it can break out that top. Respecting the group. That's Mara. I meant to go to Moderna. MRNA, which was 3 times as strong yesterday compared to Pfizer, today is not nearly as strong. So you are going a bit against the grain of the entire group, but Mara also held on to some support and is making some higher lows. That said, I'm out in front of that 70 level. Do want to be able to respect it. Unity continues to break lower. I'll now play off the 37 level. I'm just gonna, if you're taking the stairs down, I want to look for that next step. If it happens to be 37, part of being patient is sort of waiting for an entry to set up. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you're not forced into the trade. Like the loss on Mar for me was actually not trading it at the level that I intended to. And that's going to happen to you from time to time. So I'd rather miss the trade to make the trade. And in this particular case, might have missed it at VWAP. If I get it off 37, great. If you don't, still hang on to Apple here to the downside. And I do still like Rivian as well. If you're still rocking along with Rivian, I still think this one has a lot of room to be able to get to the downside. Pops to VWAP, pops to 20. There's still 4 hours to go until we get into the power hour. You got a lot of time in this market, and Rivian didn't really catch too much of a bid until the midday, and even then was still able to give you a couple of legs to the south side. So you got to be patient. We can take this stair step to the downside all we want. Just look for the next entry. Don't worry about the past trade. Worry about what the next trade is, and then go ahead and they'd be able to hit that. I haven't seen too much strength in much of anything here today. But one thing that is strong, I mentioned Oxy at the $60 level. It just got there now and is trying to hold on to the 60 level. So it is a bit of a counter trend trade, the energy names. Look at the consolidation, pretty much where you'd want it at 60. So very much like Pfizer, when I see a setup like this, I'm going to favor the long, but I'm not going to give it a wide berth. So Pfizer already in this one at about flat right now, looking for a little bit of Occidental. Strong at the open yesterday, a little bit of strength here as well in the oil names. In this oil name.
All right. Again, just that we're obviously in chill mode. So clearly, yeah. All right, but we're still going to watch out for some trades. I mean, we could go over some stuff here as well. All right, so let's just look here. Thank you so much, Zion. I mean, this is just what we're doing every day. All right, so Google right here. Let's have another quick look. I mean, a nice little reload situation could be possible. You know, we've been playing short. There's a reason why every single name on this sticky note was a short idea. Alibaba, I mean, a great out there. Apple right now. The reason why we're, you know, infinitely happy about this one, we wound up making now more on Apple than we got the same stuff because we wound up getting out. We're just holding this. Apple and Mara. But again, like, you know, one worked, one. Let's go back over to Mara quickly here. Why not? All right, so 2250. Again, you know, Bitcoin's still at 42.3 right now, so it's not really doing a whole heck of a lot. So this Mara trade, I think we have to wait for it to make like an extremely outsized move one way or the other on this name right now. But okay, so we'll just wait for that. Palantir again, man. This has been, like I said, number 1 P&L stock today, Apple. Number 2 P&L stock today, Google. Number 3 P&L stock today, Alibaba. Number 4 P&L stock today, Palantir, right? Number 1 losing stock today, Mara. So we've got the 4 number 1 stocks and the number 1 loser. So that's why, like, when we're trying to talk to you guys about, like, trading and ideas and stuff like that, that's where you really got to, like, and this is one of the hardest parts about trading is understanding like what names and what opportunities you want to put the most amount of shares in, because you sort of have to rank them, and that's where and that's sort of what started the sticky note. Really was just that, like, what are the best opportunities that I'm looking at today? Like, I don't have Google on the sticky note, you know, and yet again it's going, like I just finished saying, you know, it will hopefully be, well, right now it's the number 2 stock. You know, so it's like you got to be able to understand what plan you're working with, and then also try to understand that, hey, in the middle of the day, lots of things can change. You know, it's honestly why, although Alibaba is still the number 3 stock, I still could have put, like, I should have, in normal sense, I have 2 fills, it's fine, but I could have had more shares there. It's just with that rumor and it going to the upside, it actually changed a little bit of what I was thinking with Alibaba, but we still stay true to the strategy and to what we're doing, and you can see it's definite pay dirt on that one right now. Palantir, we only have about 15% left. That went down a little more than we thought that it would, so that's good. And then we just missed another reload here on Google, but I'm going to take a piece out now. The day we're having is, again, pretty good right now, considering how the beginning was. 4 for 5, we'll take it, and we're going to look for some more names. What about DraftKings? That was a name that we looked at yesterday. Ooh, $32. Wow, man. I'll just go Dollar Club on that one. Like, saved by just getting out of some of these names near the highs, right? The only mistake, like, I coulda, shoulda, woulda, but SoFi was the one name that I had bought in recently that we talked about it up there at $10. And even if you look at a chart, it kind of looks the same as all those other names that made the move to the high side. So again, a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean, it's a pretty decent one, mistake there by not getting out of SoFi, if not all of it, some of it. So mistake there on SoFi, but hey, man, we'll have other opportunities. This SoFi was not really going to be a swing trade, but knowing how aggressive this was right there, that's pretty pretty dangerous if they get another downgrade or something tomorrow or something like that. So just watch out for SoFi. I think it has more room to go. And
There's
then
also a revision.
Oh, is there something?
Sorry, a revised plan for the student loan relief.
Is that good or bad? I don't know.
Well, the only thing I don't know too many of the details. To be honest, I saw the article. I didn't really read the whole thing because we trade price action here, but it's likely to affect a far smaller amount of people who have student loans in the U.S. So whatever the new plan is, and then it's election year as well, so who even knows if any of that happens. But SoFi is going to have some catalysts out there that you have to keep your ear to the ground on. But it was like that to me when I look back. Like there's winning trades, losing trades. There's following your plan. Like SoFi, I loved SoFi to the south side off the 9 to 920. Ended up making top wick, which is fine. I'll make top wick, bottom wick all the time. You just want to get back into the trade if you can. And this is what I simply mean by it. Like get back into the trade. Like it sets up, didn't really set up for the pre-market high there at the 920. That's a big level on the 15 and daily chart as well. But it did set up at $9. You just got to find a way back into it, or I do, off that 890 level. Sure, it's a tight stop, so R&R is always going to be good. I'm never going to let one thing blow it up. But you're now at the 830 level, which checks notes on SoFi. Let's go back to the daily chart. 830. Hey, that's that local high. You had the huge run from $8. The local high was about the 8.25 to 8.30. So it is at a bounce zone. Speaking of bounces, we just mentioned two things, Pfizer and Oxy. Oxy back above the $60 level. Consolidated there, grabbed 01s creatively enough. 95 is a local bottom. It just hit the high of the day and looking for the quarters next. So that's breaking into the upside. And then Pfizer, which has been relatively strong, dips down into 29.80. Pops into 29.94s or 95s actually, fill 94 on the way to 30. I'll look to rinse and repeat this one off of VWAP as well. So the market making a little bit of a bounce, but I'd rather be bouncing into strong names. And I just trailed out of Apple. So we talked about Apple to the low of the day. Apple just went into the bottom, trailed it out there as it wicked off of 183.50. That's the current low, and then back above the 40 level. So for now, out of Apple, I think a VWAP retrace, 185, 185 quarter, that's going to be in play. If the market is going to give us a nice little bounce, I'd rather be long, strong names, or relatively strong names, I should say, because Oxy's not even up on the day. And then looking for the fade on pops and names that we still like short. That means $20 on Rivian, which also happens to be VWAP. That'll mean a potential move into SoFi. The other one, which we have not traded today, is Tesla. Tesla VWAP will be 240. So that's, I mean, if you have a round number like a 240 sitting there at VWAP, that's going to make it a watch. I do like Rivian better, but I'll be watching Tesla at 240 for a potential VWAP retracement trade. Let's get to the desk. It's 10:30. That means it's crypto time with Adair.
Interesting story here with regards to MicroStrategy. This one was mentioned in the watch list as well, but chairman of MicroStrategies and co-founder Michael Saylor filing with the SEC to sell $216 million worth of MicroStrategy shares. So he said earlier that he wants to use the proceeds from this sale to address personal obligations and buy more Bitcoin for his account. So Michael Saylor, MicroStrategies, $216 million worth of shares being sold here. MicroStrategy, like a lot of these Bitcoin names, moving to the downside, down about 7.5% right now. In terms of Bitcoin itself, currently around this mid 42,000 area. We did dip below 42,000, about mid 41,000 earlier today. Now we're just hanging out just around that 42,500 area on Bitcoin. Massive fall here after yesterday's big move to the upside, actually touching 21-month highs. So very significant up day for Bitcoin, now move to the downside. In terms of these other crypto currencies right now, Bitcoin down about 5.5%, Ethereum down about 6% here, now just above that 2,200 area. Solana down 10%. Cardano down 10%, Avalanche down 11%, Doge down 10.5%, guys.
You just said it's looking bad. Like that's, yeah, the list of names. Well, we said there'd be some double-digit names in here today. There was a lot of double-digit names in the other direction yesterday, but that's part of the course. If everyone's excited last year when you're getting these double-digit wins on pops, then understand that when these same types of instruments pull back, they're gonna fall, and they're gonna fall big percentages, and you got to be able to stomach that. If you hold them, then you guys know what I'm talking about. So it goes for equities too. Like looking at Unity, it goes for Unity. It goes for a stock like Affirm. Those stocks are gonna drop 10%, and it's gonna be like batting an eye. If Unity's not down 10% right now, as a matter of fact, it cannot even seem to crack 37.20 on that last little market bounce. So if that's gonna be the next level, then I'm just going to get my stop in and get on the offer right here and see if I can't short it back into this local high on Unity. As said, moved into a couple longs, but they were both on relatively strong names, Pfizer and Oxy. What was relatively strong yesterday, the banks, JP Morgan is down right now trying to crack VWAP. It's been an absolute tear. It would be interesting if that could take out the high. But if that takes out the high, I'm almost certain that I'm short in BAC. And by almost certain is like a 99% chance because I'm on the offer of BAC in this consolidation right now. So looking at the consolidation bottoms, if you like the short, then look for the short where you get an out. And the out here, 33.5 on BAC. The reason I'll be out with a tight stop there is because 34 is the bigger level. There was no chance to short off 34 unless you just sat in it in the pre-market. So first short will be in front of 33.50 on BAC. And the reason I like this short, despite bank strength, is when everything was breaking higher in the afternoon and continuing to trend up, BAC ran into a brick wall at 34 even. And I want to be short this name at least back into 33.
Okay. Yeah, so far so good, man. I think it's been a good day. We've definitely gone over a few things there. Good call on Affirm, good call on Unity over there by Neil for sure. As again, I called, back when this was $50, it's not like it's rocket science, not like we're, all about this or anything. But what about Unity and Affirm having some lower handles on them? We talked about Affirm when it was up here at $50, and someone said, when I said Affirm will have a 3 handle on it by January, you're not even that far away now from getting that level. So I know that some of you, and let me know, because I think this was a couple days ago when we were up into here, $50, maybe it was 49 something. I think it was about 50 when we talked about getting puts on that. So I just want to see if anybody, because I didn't do it, because I don't really trade options and I don't really have a very good handle on. We have Daniel Shea later on today, I believe, as well this afternoon. But I just want to know if anybody got those options. Yes? No, on the main show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fabian said no, but we do have it on, I believe. All right, so 45, I think it's in the calendar, yeah. She was messaging me, so I believe it is true. All right, so 45.50 right there. What I'm getting at is that we talked about Affirm possibly having a 3 handle on it. It's pretty close to that, and I just want to know if anybody took those options when we mentioned it, just to see if they're in the money or not, because I know they're super expensive on that one. I know Neil was in Disney earlier.
No, I haven't traded it.
Oh, okay.
I canceled my bid.
That's what it was. Okay, so
it's coming back though.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to look at again. 90 as a bottom, definitely something there. So let's wait for that.
I still like the long. It's just that if a stock runs too far away from your entry price, like if it already bounced off 90, if I'm bidding here and it goes all the way up to 91, like I don't necessarily want to leave those bids in if it's gone too far away, because now you're talking about a strong stock rejecting the high and coming in and making a double bottom. I don't want to sit out in front of it. I want it to make a low and then try to get the long off that low. So just because I like the price doesn't mean I always want to sit there and then stand in front of a moving freight train. Speaking of moving freight trains, Mara has been one. I think anybody watching the stock understands that. Anyways, okay, I should finish the thought on Disney. If you're not tuning in and prepping in the morning, I understand Disney has not moved much on a percentage basis, but to complete the thought, this is the 50 and 200 period converging just underneath $90, and this is what the 15-minute looks like on Disney. So if you like support and resistance levels, that is all the reason why you're looking at the $9 level for Disney. I get it, it's not moving percentage-wise, but if you can risk 15 to 20 cents and it's moving around 50 cents to $1 off of that level, then that provides a day trader with a trade. Mara, I don't have to explain why Mara is on a radar today, because Mara has moved more than 10%, I'd say every single day for the last, probably like 80% of the days in the last 2 weeks maybe. But it's been super strong this morning. It is now getting into that previous resistance zone. So for me, not following plan meant shorting it in the ether and not waiting for it to get up to this level. If it cracks this high, it's going to go within spitting distance of the previous close yesterday, which was 22.90, and yesterday's bottom, which also corresponds with its low on Friday. So I want to be short this name at a price that makes sense, and that would be the price that makes sense. The newest position for me is BAC. Short in here off the 33.5 consolidation. There's a bit of a seller at 38, which I just 38 and 39, which I just joined, but I want to be adding a little bit tighter to the 33.50 area on BAC.
All right, all right. The banks have been good, man. I mean, we looked at that Citigroup. I don't want to just talk about the same topic that Neil just did, but like when Citigroup tanked earlier in the morning, you know, remember I was like, wow, I'm going to talk about Citigroup, and I was like, wow, it's down. But it wasn't down for long, man. I mean, that 52 bottom, I don't know if it really meant anything. I mean, there's, you know, like, there's the 50 period moving average. I haven't done enough studies on that for here, the 20-minute chart, but you know, maybe we'd have to look at that. But you know, when it's coming back down, again, I'm always looking for support and resistance areas. So to go long at 52, I mean, it wasn't there yet. Like, you know, the cake wasn't baked per se down yet. Like 52.25, we got to, if I'm gonna go long against this sort of barcoding, I'd much rather have it broken 52 and then got that move back in and then bought something a little on the cheap or whatever down there. That would have been, or you know, bought on the cheap ahead of that 51.50 level. That could have been something for sure. So, all right, let's wait on that one. But yeah, Citigroup, that's why we didn't go long. Probably BAC, as Neil was mentioning. You know, again, I know for both of us, and I can speak for both of us, because it has to set up like risk and reward, because otherwise it's like you sacrifice so much. Like, I didn't know that this was going to go back up to 53 bucks. Otherwise, you take that. But like to go long at 52.20, that 70 cents lower is sort of where you get some of that stop action. So I'm going to wait on that play. Google right now. Oh man, you know where we were waiting, man? We were waiting at 45s. It just hit 41s there before making this move back in. As here we go. It looks like the shorts are going to cash again, man. So the shorts are in. We have only shorts on right now. I said that we're only going to stick with shorts today. We have no buys. We were short Mara. That was disaster. We're short Apple. We're short Alibaba. We're short Google. And we're short Palantir. The thing is, though, again, this move broke back above the 200 period, so we did get something out there when that did happen, right? And so a little bit of back and forth on some of these plays. So not the most successful, but still not bad on that front either for PLTR. So we have some great outs, man. We have basically the top of that move. I mean, the top of the move is really 37. We're short 28s. And then we got 1605, I think was the best fill. So anyways, all right. No, I heard something else in my ear. I don't think we're ready for a dairy yet.
I think so.
We are. Could you say that again, Fabian? I want to hear how loud that is. Yes. Good, perfect. All right. You know, in what is the most known thing coming, it's Sector Watch with Adara.
Yes, pretty unsurprisingly, we're mostly red across the board here. One of the exceptions is going to be health technology, which is still pretty mixed, but there are some strong movers to the upside. J&J, Eli Lilly, very strong today. Not seeing a catalyst on this one, but good day for Eli Lilly amidst a little bit more mixed action here. Generally, lots of weakness with finance, with the exception of Berkshire Hathaway here. We have a little bit of weakness as well in this electronic technology section, a lot of chip weakness. Technology services, a lot of chip weakness for electronic technology. Apple getting another downgrade this morning from D.A. Davidson, so continuing to trade to the downside as well. On the other side of the board, producer manufacturing very weak. Some weakness in consumer services and consumer durables. Tesla leading to the downside here, down 4.5%. But a little bit of strength in health services and some energy mineral strength. Oil moving to the upside. Communications also pretty strong, led by a Verizon upgrade from KeyBank this morning, guys.
Okay, a couple of things. In that last minute, a couple of things have happened here. The market wicked the low and then just came right back in. At that moment, I just got into Unity off 37 for the first time. Like, it wicked the bottom and came right back into the 37 level. I just grabbed 96s on a fade. I was just into Rivian and BAC, which I think we already talked about. Pfizer pulled back in as well. That's one of two stocks which had been strong, at least for now, off VWAP. So Pfizer, liquidity grab at the bottom, now holding on to VWAP, but a lower high just got put in. I'll give it one shot for a reload. If we cannot hold on to the 3/4 mark, I'm just going to get out. Do not need to get trapped on this getting back into the low. And if it puts in another lower high, that's not a great sign. I think that's, what do they call it? A descending wedge. There, that's what I'm supposed to say. If you're finding a support level and you get lower highs going into it, you don't always want to reload over and over again. You'd like to see higher highs if you're taking the stairs to the upside, which would be following the trend a little bit better. It is still a relatively strong name, but you got to have at least a little bit of caution when I see that and the market breaking lower. BAC, I didn't get an ad there, but it is headed down into the low of the day. I was going to mention, if you're looking at the banks, the strongest yesterday, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, it's just the strongest name that I looked at was JP Morgan. And it looks to me as if it's trying to hold on to 170, which was a previous resistance going into the end of last year. So that could be a strong name. I just like BAC because it was relatively weak, so I'm shorting it. But if you're looking for one that was a little bit stronger yesterday, this continued to go higher right up until the close. I think it actually closed within pennies of its high. It's hard to see with these wicks, but I think it closed within pennies of the high of the day on JP Morgan. Much stronger name in the banking sector. It's not all bad here.
Yeah, JP Morgan hit 170. Yeah, it did. It closed right at the high yesterday. Wow.
I mean, that's not the one.
172.
Like, I wish Morgan was this strong, but like I own
they're all really
well,
strong, aren't they? I thought Morgan Stanley was like the bottom was like $70.
How's about no-ish? Morgan Stanley rejected a flat top at 94 and is right back in the bottom of the channel at $91. What's with these wicks, man? So like this has been sitting in, like Morgan Stanley's been sitting in.
Oh, you mean strong on the day?
Oh, on the day, I mean. No, it's been a strong stock.
Yeah, it's been huge, man.
But look at this like long ass bull flag on Morgan just since it got to 90. Like look at the resistance at 94. This is probably a short at 94, and then I'm looking at this chart. If I wasn't, like I'm in BAC, but I should be short Morgan Stanley. Probably a little bit of a bias because I own that in my long term. That's the only explanation for not looking for a short there at 94. But it's still making a bull flag. I suppose 90 to 91 is a support level on it. But yeah, when I talk about it being weak, it's down 2.7%. That's what I'm getting at. JP Morgan's down 0.7. So Morgan Stanley clearly maybe the weakest of the banks, making me rethink. Obviously I'm in BAC, and I'm in BAC because of that 34 level, because I felt it's relatively weak. But looking at it now, I can acknowledge that Morgan Stanley is actually maybe the better trade. But you can't try to catch a trade that's already happened. Right? Like I saw the setup in BAC and took that. Clearly Morgan Stanley, if at the same moment, if I short Morgan Stanley had seen it, then it would be a better trade because you'd be in a dollar in the money when BAC is literally 3 cents in the money. I know it's a cheaper stock, but yeah, Morgan Stanley, that's going to be a bit of a miss. You can't catch them all, but might have backed the wrong horse to the south side. If BAC works or not, it doesn't matter. Morgan Stanley popping into VWAP was just a money trade, clearly.
Yeah, we talk about that, like unable to trade everything sometimes because we're sitting here trying to find the best opportunities for everybody. Yeah, I think why trade Google versus Goog? Yeah, just for me, more liquidity. Hold on a second. So I'm going to go to Adair in a minute. 5.3 million for Goog L and Goog 4.8. So it's not even like it's that much difference. 4.9 to 5.3. Yeah, I mean, now that I see that, I mean, you can basically trade either one. So yeah, good question. Thought I had a better answer than that. I thought I was going to say volume, but now looking at it, the volume is pretty equal on both of those.
Well, it's usually lower on Google.
No, I think it is. I mean, we can do the average. Anyways, I'll leave that to everybody up there. That's a Google search, what the average daily volumes are. But like Neil said, I pretty much can tell you that the average daily volume is higher on Goog L, and I think we'd be mistaken if that wasn't the case.
5 versus 19.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that's different.
That's a pretty big
That's different.
I'd say.
All right, so we just reloaded the short on Google there at 33 or so. Yeah, 33, and we just missed the fill at 20. So that kind of sucks as well. But let's go over to the big desk with Adair.
Yeah, on the topic of Morgan Stanley, CEO James Gordon actually speaking right now, saying, making some comments about Bitcoin, among other things, saying that Bitcoin's not going away, but it's not a core investment, and that he's never understood Bitcoin as a form of stored value. So just some notes there. Be aware, Morgan Stanley CEO speaking right now, guys.
I actually had no idea this.
There you go, Neil. Sometimes you get lucky, and because the thing is like it's going downside.
Well, that's
But
why.
you've talked about this when you were in WFC and things like that, and I always remember it because for some reason that conference call was like whipping that stock around. And like whenever a CEO is speaking, it's not a great idea to get into that stock because like that's what all the analysts are listening to.
There's a bit of a difference in, and I'll say this candidly, the Morgan Stanley situation.
Well, that was
the
earnings,
the WFC situation. When I got caught in that one and stopped out, and it didn't, my stop triggered and didn't fill. Like I should have known the conference call was on. Like we were trading that stock because it was in play on earnings. I simply was unaware. I was unaware. I didn't know the call was on in that moment. I had the time incorrect, and essentially there was a liquidity vacuum because that's what happens during a conference call sometimes. And it whipped a stop level. I fired an order out automatically, and it found no liquidity. Ended up punching out for a significant loss there. But that was a lack of preparation. I didn't even know Morgan Stanley would be talking today. It's a coincidence. The market. So I just got what I thought was going to be the low of the day on Rivian, but I'm going to go to the market first. You're breaking through the bottom on the NASDAQ, but we just kind of keep wicking it and then coming back in. On a 60-minute, it's all trend down, but when it popped the 15-minute chart up, it's a little bit more choppy. Break the low, regain it. Break the low, regain the low of the day. So you're kind of scalping a short the pop situation on weak names. And until that stops working, I think that's what we have to do. It's only 10 minutes to go till 11 o'clock. I just got short Rivian back in front of that 20 level. It just gave a fill at 81. I thought we were about to get the low of the day. And then you had that little pop in the market. The other name that we had just shorted hasn't really done much of anything, and that's Unity. It's consolidating off the 37 level. So what I'm going to do is actually not wait until 37.20. I'm going to tighten up the stop in Unity because when the market just went down, it didn't move. So when the market popped lower, Unity failed to make a move back into the low and just continued to go sideways, down 5%. I don't need to get trapped at the bottom on this, so I'm tightening up my stop. Instead of risking 25 cents, I'm going to risk 10 cents. That's one way to go about it. I already talked about Rivian. BAC is now starting to go down, but like I feel like that move in BAC, some of that, sure it's stair stepping down, but there's probably some blind luck in that Morgan Stanley was just tanking. So I'm going to use that wick to get some out because when we talk about sort of like the reason you're in a trade or not, like Morgan just made a volume, like the highest volume candle in the last, call it hour, and it wicked the low of the day. So it actually recovered to the low of the day. So I'm going to get some out of BAC using that to my advantage there. And no reload in Oxy, but we did get the reload in Pfizer. 29.80 back into 29.90. This is where Pfizer needs to actually make a new high. It needs to get back into the 30 level. If it cannot get to 30, then as far as I'm concerned, this trade is not going to be a super successful one. It's just a scalp trade at this point. The plan of action was that this could be a trend to the upside, testing the high of the day. So for now, Pfizer's still looking strong, but I'd like to see it retest the high of the day at least.
I don't know why. We're getting a lot of subscribers, and I just put it in the chat. Oh, it's subscribers. Oh, it's not members. Oh, my bad. My bad. Normally, if you become a member, it will say immediately up here. I just see these. Thank you for subscribing, but those are just subscribers. But thank you so much for doing that again and again and again. And you guys are talking about Apple. And yeah, man, I mean, spin it. It's now 230 in the money on the #1 trade on the sticky note. Like we've just come right back into this bottom. I'm debating getting this out. I mean, we're still in this trade, but just small again. It's funny because like every day I see these things go, and it's just like I'm always like, oh, I only have a small piece left. Like that's the one thing, and we're all working on different strategies and whatnot. Sharif just told me that Michael Noss. What time? Noon. 11:30 we'll be on the midday show to talk about whatever preparation, and I guess that's what it is. Okay, swing trade scanners. Okay, so Michael Noss will be on at 11:30, but you guys are going to want to stay tuned anyways. The midday show has been banging, so pay attention to that as that's coming up very, very soon. So thank you for mentioning that, Sharif, and thank you to Michael for doing that. Okay, so that was that right now. Just real quickly here, we are going to go to Adair for Money Talks. We were able to get that bid there at 20s, so that reload was 33. We did get a bid out at 20. We only have 2/3 left of the reload right now. So we had some pieces there. We got out another piece. So right now we only have 2/3 left of what we were holding. And the reason is NASDAQ, not at low a day, but pretty much at low a day, and Google, bless you, is nowhere near that. So a strong name up here, Google. I'm gonna give this a little, I'm gonna cancel. I was actually right here. I'll take it at 50 right now. I'll take some at 50. I was gonna take 45s there and I just canceled. Let's take 50 because the stop is already in, breaking through 60, the high of the day. I'll try to take this for a quick little scalp of, like we just did, 13 or 14 pennies. But again, 50 would give me that short for 10 cents worth of risk. And again, it's not going to be on a large amount of shares as we're getting on in the day. All right, 10:52. Let's go find out if our money's talking or not.
Bit of movement here in the USD to the upside. We had a bit of strength yesterday, but definitely really strong day for the USD. We did get some economic data earlier today as well. So the JOLTS job openings coming in a little bit lower than the estimate. 8.79 versus the expected 8.85. ISM manufacturing PMI coming in about 0.3 higher than expected, so 47.4 versus 47.1, and the ISM manufacturing employment for December coming in higher as well, 48.1 versus the previous 45.8. We do have also the FOMC meeting minutes from the December meeting coming out at 2 p.m. today, so stay tuned for those with regards to the USD, and then also some other economic data coming later this week, including non-farm payrolls on Friday, guys.
Thank you very much, Adara. Yeah, the payrolls number, like everyone's going to be looking at what the job market, I think, because if you're going to get a soft landing, that means the economy is going to be doing well and the consumer is going to be doing well, and a lot of that starts with the labor market. So if the labor market falters, that's what you could get the cuts the wrong reason, and if you get the cuts for the wrong reason, it's because the economy is not doing well. So I think a lot of people are glued to that. That said, that's a ways away. Back to a couple of things here. VWAP just tested in Rivian. So I just got a reload of this stock. It's a reload because I wasn't out of position. So in it at 94, I just added back in at about 99, actually at 99 even. My price is 94.5 overall. If this takes out VWAP, this could get really spicy back into the upside. So the market is trying to bounce, but we're still in the bottom of the pocket until we break out like 2010 or so. I don't know that I want to get away from this. BAC, which is the other short that I'm in, still, there we go. Still hang around the low of the day. So even with the market bouncing, the banks are still looking weak. As I said, Morgan Stanley was the weakest of those names. It's holding the bottom. Maybe it gets back to VWAP and that's a better setup. I don't know. JP Morgan, if there is a long in the banks today, I got to feel like this holding 170 is a little bit better. It's a little stronger than the other two. Only reason I say that is it was super strong yesterday, closing near the high of the day, and then this 170 level. It was the opening range top. I know it's hard to see because of that wick, but try to get rid of it.
You didn't get long down there?
No, obviously not.
153?
So I heard a lot of people talk about the opening range. A lot of our futures traders talk about this. This is an important thing. In the first half an hour, what is your support and resistance? So when 170 is the top in the first half an hour on a stock that ends up closing at the high, on a retracement, when it holds support in front of 170, the previous day's range or opening range, I kind of like those support levels. That said, I kind of feel things are shorts until they're not. So I'm staying short these two banks, but if you were looking for a long, I suppose that would just be the one. And for the first time today, I don't know why Microsoft is strong, but I've seen it a million times in the chat. Microsoft is relatively strong. It's at VWAP and up 0.25%. And it really hasn't shown any inclination of getting lower. And even better than that, yesterday's resistance at 371 is now today's support at VWAP. So this looks a lot like the Pfizer or Oxy, where it's relatively strong. The only difference is those two are in sectors which have been good.
Have you seen some bad quotes sometimes?
Well, okay.
I feel like I was wondering if I should restart my system because I feel like sometimes I'm getting books jumping.
Well, yesterday on
here I'll show you. Yeah,
yesterday on Tesla, I don't know if you. So yesterday Tesla broke an even dollar level, and when it had broken, it was like 25 cents higher, and then it wicked underneath the level when it was 10 cents lower.
Right.
I had some stuck books that were indicating it was still in the money.
It's just like when it's been calm. I feel like, anyways.
Only on level breaks for me.
Okay.
Which
Maybe
is
I
normal
think I
because
might
it's
need to
flood-
restart.
Like when the bigger the level, when a huge level happens, say like Tesla 250.
Yeah, there's a lot of
You have so much order flow going through that you might get a few stuck quotes in that 1 or 2 seconds as things are going haywire. Now, if that's happening when nothing is going on, I think that's a bit more of a concern.
That's what I was looking at.
So
Yeah.
the only time I had that issue was on a Tesla break.
Okay.
Which is
Well,
something.
we're almost done the show, which is fine. It hasn't been that much of an issue. I just noticing like, I felt like the Bats book in particular. That's why I didn't tell you which one, to see if you had the same thing.
Oh, it was bats yesterday on Tesla.
Okay, so then there is maybe a little bit of a problem there. But that's okay, our team will work on it. It hasn't been a problem for fills or for quotes. Sometimes I notice that it just gets a little bit excited when it should have broke or it should be filled. Anyways, we're about to get excited to the downside here with Google, take the L here. We'll still be, this is what we talk about. Neil and I will talk about this all the time, and that is risk management. And you never want to throw away your whole day, that's first of all, or even profit that you've maybe made on a name. So right there, that's a 10-cent hit on Google, and that sucks, but it is what it is. All right, so that's still a positive name for us. We'll have one red name today, Mara. Both of us actually, been hitting some longs and shorts. I actually haven't been in any longs right now, but look at the names Neil's long, man. We know Pfizer's been really strong, and obviously the oil space has been strong. So you can pick your poison on some of those. I am gonna get out at a 184 break. I mean, Apple's here at the bottom of the day. I just don't want to worry too much about this, but I'm just like, if we break, like if I just get out now, I can see that this is the bottom. You know, the only thing that I feel like I need to fix here, we've been pretty good with the stick, you know, and back to back days. But the thing is like, need to hold more. So it's just like, although like I said, Apple's gonna be profitable #1 here today. And we both hit the short. It's a level that we liked. It came screaming up. And it just reminds me of that Alibaba trade is where, we really liked the level there, came screaming up, we shorted it. The problem is that things change in Alibaba. With Apple, it really let me just still take that 186 short. So, to be $2 in the money is great, but you're getting to that time. I think yesterday around this time as well, we kind of flipped over. If we flip over, I know this is the name Neil's been trading, I think Rivian here at 20, like that's a pretty good level, man. It's also where VWAP is. You also sort of swoosh down, and now you're getting that garbage out of here. Anything below 1984 here, that's the 50-period moving average. I feel like you can almost take a long now on Rivian, and then if this market goes, like I said, we know there's a lot of traders in Rivian, potentially on a market moving higher here, Rivian goes. Off that 20, and then you're going to say to yourself, like, you gave yourself 20 cents worth of risk down to 1984 on this trade, only to have seen it bounce there and then take out VWAP and then possibly, the only thing is you need to get 35 cents out of it, right? So that means it has to go back up to that 200 period, unless you're just trying for a quick time scalp.
Yesterday's.
Did you look at Intel or anything
high.
today? Well, Bitcoin's ripping. So Bitcoin is at 43. We're going to go to the midday in a second here. But here's Bitcoin taking levels out and actually gapping higher right now. So you guys can sort of see this happening here. So, let's just quickly look at, like a GBTC or something like that and see if this is getting bumped. We looked at this last time. It wasn't too happy. There it is. So there's the move up. I was going to say, we looked at it last time. Wasn't too happy with the relationship, but look at it starting to go now as well. There goes GBTC, and then Neil just highlighted Mara. Are you shorting this, or what are we doing?
This is the level this was the level. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I know what I just did. Oh. I keystroked you can put a stop in before it gets to a level, but I put in the wrong price, and it punched me out the second I had the stop in there. I was just short. Oh, goodness. It was actually, it made money because I'm actually short. I was short and actually made a couple of cents there. But the idea was to be short off of yesterday's closing range top. It got into that spot. There was no turnaround. It broke local high, got into the bottom consolidation there, and 23.5 looks like the top of that zone. So I want to get back into the short to that level. We talked about waiting for it to get to your resistance zone.
I just shorted it with you.
This is where you have to be super patient. Previous support turning into resistance, well, look what happened when it got to yesterday's low. It pulled back into 22. When it broke the high to go into that range, this is essentially, like in the aftermarket, It got to about 23.5 there, and that's the bottom range for the entire. The afternoon show, essentially, the top was 23.5 with a bottom at 22.5. So that entire dollar zone is the short entry, and giving it to that 50 was what I was supposed to do this morning. Now you can muck up and short it at levels that you don't want to, but that doesn't mean you don't take the short that you plan to in the morning. Should have been a long today. It was an SSR bounce play, but it never set up for me. Not the way that I trade SSR bounces. I look to scalp them. But the market is absolutely recovering. I don't want to say flying. We're still down 0.6%. As we go to 11 o'clock, it's 11:02. Let's get over to the midday and some NYSE with Adara.
Shorting Mara is not right.
Nope.
Oh, we're here.
Shit.
You're bang on, Neil. NYSE, we're involved in that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what is up, beautiful people? Welcome to Learn How to Trade, formerly known